Wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
And now, please welcome at this time your hosts, Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau. You're listening to the next era of wrestling radio. This is WrestleRant Radio.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WrestleRant Radio here today. Happy Thursday. This is the March 12th, 2026 edition of WrestleRant Radio. I am Graham GSM Matthews, flying solo here today for the first time in a while. Mr. Marceau out on assignment in Florida for spring training. Very excited for him to be enjoying this warm weather. Although we are getting warmer weather now in the Northeast, so not terrible timing, but it's definitely warmer down there than it is currently here in the Northeast, but I'm sure he's enjoying himself. He's leaving today, back this weekend. I did see Mr. Marceau this past weekend, though, in person for the first time since his birthday back in November, and it was a great WrestleRant reunion. I shared the picture on all my social media, but specifically here on YouTube as well a few days ago. But yeah, a lot to get into here today for WrestleRant Radio, including a complete preview of AEW Revolution. It is AEW Revolution weekend. Mistakenly, for a while, I thought it was on Saturday, because typically AEW's pay-per-views are on Saturdays. It's actually on Sunday, which works out well. We have a scheduling conflict on Saturday. I am completely free on Sunday, so I should be watching the show live on Sunday. And it's looking like a strong show. I actually watched the first hour of Dynamite live last night for the first time in a while, and I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I watch Dynamite every week, just not necessarily live. And I liked the show. I thought it was a thumbs-up edition, a nice, solid go-home show. Not a big fan of the press conference approach. The press conference itself was fine, just didn't necessarily make for the most exciting final, 10, 15 minutes of the show. But obviously, it descended into chaos pretty quickly. Broke out into a brawl between Hangman and MJF, a really good close to the show. But we will be doing a complete preview and prediction card for AEW Revolution coming up on Sunday towards the end of today's episode. As you could probably tell from the title, we're also talking Cody Rhodes regaining the Undisputed WWE Championship on SmackDown last week, mere 24 hours removed from the news breaking that Road Dogg gone from WWE Creative. Have a lot of thoughts on that as well. Probably sprinkle in a review of Raw for Monday, which I thought overall was a solid show. And I said this on Twitter after I watched it. I put this up on Tuesday morning on my Twitter. But the good on Raw this week I thought was really good. I thought the bad on Raw this week was really bad. And I can I talked about that on #AskGSM on Tuesday. We can maybe talk a little bit about a bit more about it here today on the show. So thank you for joining us first and foremost. I will get into the housekeeping stuff momentarily, but if you are watching live, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. If you're just watching and not subscribed, what the hell are you doing? Subscribe to the channel. Turn on that notification bell to be notified every single time we're live here on the channel, typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays for #AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio, respectively. You also get new content pretty much every single day, including the grand finale of #GSM4GM last week, or rather yesterday here on the channel. Probably my last time doing any 2K gameplay for a while, so go back and check that out from yesterday, and all the other content we have up here on the channel, including the latest installment of WrestleRant Ranks from Monday, ranking, I believe, the worst WWE matches. I think I put that up on Monday, and then coming up on Monday this week, what was the episode that I filmed? Oh, yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin's WrestleMania matches ranked. There's only like 7 or 8 of them, but Monday is 316 Day, so I thought only fitting to do Stone Cold Steve Austin's WrestleMania matches ranked coming up on the show on Monday. But a lot to get to here today, including in the chat as well. I'll pull up the chat momentarily. If you are watching live, I encourage you to send in a chat, comment, question, whatever it might be. I will get to it in just a few moments. Before I shout out, I get to that, I do want to shout out our channel members: Alexis, Miss Mod Matthews, Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, Daniel Malcolm, who I did see there in the chat a moment ago. What's up, Daniel? At I'm Quarter on X, you could find him over there. DJ Swerve1 at Swerve1 on IG. He was actually at Raw this past week. He was at SmackDown last Friday, and he's going to be at Revolution coming up on, I don't know if he was at Dynamite last night, but I know he was going to be at Revolution on Sunday. So super stoked for him. Yeah, I know he had a great time at SmackDown and Raw. And WWE and AEW both, the fans over there in California, they've been getting a lot of both companies as of late, which is pretty cool. Also, shout out to our other channel members: Mr. Marceau himself at RJ_Marceau on X, John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland right here on YouTube, Richie as well, Red Planet Wrestling right here on YouTube, and Average Grunt at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. More information on how to become a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member down below. $5 a month gets you shout outs and all that other great stuff at the beginning and end of every single live stream that we do here on the channel. You also get top billing and hashtag AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio. If you have any comments or questions, topics you want me and Mr. Marceau to discuss, you get that as well. Badges and emojis and the live chats, early and ad-free access to certain videos as well, and so much more. So please help support the channel by doing that. Also, t-shirts are available. We have a WrestleRant t-shirt, a WrestleRant Halloween shirt, and a WrestleRant Christmas shirt available right now at ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestleRant. The Royal Rumble winners just got their shirts yesterday. Thank you again to Matthew and it was Jordan, whose questions we answer pretty regularly here on the channel on hashtag. They both got their shirts this past week, so shout out to them and thank you for playing the game. Always appreciated. And like I said, be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications. All that support is greatly appreciated. WrestleRant Radio, new episodes every single Thursday right here on the YouTube channel, but also in audio form over at WrestleRant.com and WrestleRantRadio.com. So what we're going to do now is pull up the chat before we get into any of the major topics, as we always do here on the show. Just give me a quick moment. I see a lot of activity here in the chat. What's going on, guys? Tyreek, I do see Tyreek. Tyreek, what's going on, brother? You're always welcome here in the chat. Tyreek, you jump on in here to the show. You say, is it? Is it what? Is it Revolution weekend? What is your question? I mean, I know your question is it, but what is in reference to? And as you always do, you're just going to bail before you answer the question. So, Tyreek, hello and goodbye. Johnny, what's going on? He said, thoughts on Okada and Kyle defending the trios titles at Revolution instead of their singles titles. I'm personally not a fan of that. I liked what they did last week on Dynamite by making the main event, the impromptu main event, like halfway during the show. That was a very WWE thing to do. And you can't do that every week. But I thought for a one-off thing, I thought it worked. And I thought the match was good. Now, granted, it started like well into the overrun, which was completely fucking ridiculous. Not every Dynamite has to be 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes. I think having a concise, quick 2-hour show, there's something to be said about that. But anyway, I liked what they did last week on Dynamite. I don't like that we're getting a fucking trios title match where Jet Speed and Mystico are not winning the trios championship. Spoiler alert, not to give my prediction away early here, but I don't see the trios titles, changing hands come Sunday with Mystico and Jet Speed beating the Don Callis family. And I mean, I get it. I mean, even with the trios championship match, you still have, no joke, another 11 fucking matches. I mean, that includes the pre-show matches. My biggest knock against these AEW pay-per-views is that they have too many matches. The pay-per-views are consistently, at this point, better than WWE's. I think it's safe to say they always kind of have been. Much better wrestling. But just the lengthy run times is what bothers me. Like, Elimination Chamber had too few wrestling. It only had 4 matches or whatever, and then the Danhausen debut. And then, like, fucking 20 minutes of entrances in each match. With the exception of Punk's entrance on that show, that was just too egregious. That was just way too fucking much. Way too much aura farming and all that other bullshit. AEW has too many matches. I think there is a happy medium there, but I am looking forward to the show. Daniel said, and he also said, plenty of room on the Nikki Blackheart bandwagon. Sit wherever you would like. I know Daniel's been texting me about Nikki Blackheart. Listen, I know he and I both, along with probably everyone else, have no fucking clue what this woman is capable of, but she looks like someone WWE would hire. She looks like a star. I know she's been wrestling on the indies. I had seen the report yesterday that WWE is reportedly interested in bringing her in. They probably will be bringing her in. Great. I hope she does well. I hope she is as good in the ring or on the mic as she looks. Johnny, what's going on, brother? He said 83-point BAM. I had seen a lot about that. I had seen Sean Ross Sapp post that picture of Bam Bam Bigelow. I had seen O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's son, crashing out over it on Twitter the other day. I don't know what the fuck happened. I would ask Mr. Marceau, but he is not here. I would also ask Grant Matthews, but he is also not here. Johnny also said, I can't remember the last time an AEW pay-per-view had 3 matches without a title involved. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'm sure there have been plenty of AEW, like Full Gear. I was at Full Gear. They had Jon Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly, no championship. They had Darby Allin and Pac, no championship. And there was definitely one other match without a championship. I mean, that was Full Gear. That was literally like just a matter of months ago. And I remember that because I was there. I mean, it's nice to have all your championships defended on the shows, but it's also nice to have some non-title matches as well with like big excuse me, big blow-offs to feuds and stuff like that. Nathaniel, what's going on, brother? He said, hi, Graham. I saw Scream 7 yesterday. I thought it was okay. Did you like it if you saw it? I thought it was okay. I talked about this already on one of these streams, and I also put up my full review on Letterboxd if you want to check it out. But I enjoyed the movie. It's just that I thought the New York one was better. And it feels like all of these movies just follow the same formula of like, oh, Swerve. And it's just like, it feels forced. You know, and these movies make money, which is great. I mean, I have no issue with that. I just don't, I'm fine with the movies making money if they're good. At this point, the movies have kind of run their course. They made fucking 7 of them. And, yeah, I thought it was fine. I enjoyed the movie. I would probably see an 8th one just to see how bad it is. I thought this movie was better than how people painted it out to be. I heard such awful things about it. And I'm not saying those people are wrong in their opinion. I'm just saying that I didn't really think it was as bad as the review suggested it was. I thought it was definitely better than Scream 5. I fucking hated that movie. And a lot of people liked it, so I don't know. Did I like the songs in Scream 7? I'm sure I did. I don't remember. Marios, what's going on, brother? He said, hi, Graham and RJ. Just me today, unfortunately. Eric, also, what's going on? I see you're high there. Mario said, do you guys think the Roman and Punk feud is rooted in way too much quibbler? I don't know. You always botch some of the words here, Marios, which is totally okay. But when you say quibbler, what is that supposed to mean? Actual animosity? Too much what? But regardless, I like the Roman and Punk feud. So far, the promos have been really good. I liked what we got from Punk and the Usos on Monday. So I've been enjoying it. I've been digging the feud. I don't know if they peaked too soon. We still have a month to go, over a month to go until WrestleMania. Roman will be returning to Raw on Monday, so we'll see what he has in store after Punk name-dropped his dead dad and disrespected his dead dad last week on Raw. Johnny said, what do you think is going to be the match of the night at Revolution? I mean, MJF and Paige has such high stakes. And the AEW audience, the sickos, if you will, love the death matches, and that's what we're getting in that main event on Sunday. I am tempted to say that match. Looking at the card, I think Andrade and Bandito could be a fucking banger. Like, not even think it will be, it will be. I'm really looking forward to that. I know we've seen FTR in the Bucks 4 other times. I'm looking forward to that match. I've been digging the build to that. The other matches on the show, I think this is a really strong card. But I think the show stealer could either be the main event. That's my safe choice. Andrade versus Bandito. Or the Moxley Takeshita match. I thought their last match at Grand Slam Australia was really good. So those would be my top 3 picks. New Age Outlaws reunion in AEW is incoming. Fuck, I hope not. I know Road Dogg is gone from WWE and Billy Gunn works for AEW. What tells me that's probably not going to happen is the fact that Road Dogg was outright begging for a fucking job a few years ago when WWE fired him back in 2022. He was re-signed to WWE soon after when Triple H took over. No surprise there. I think he actually took over Jeff Jarrett's former position when Jeff Jarrett was fired. I think he was actually fired under Vince, or under Triple H, not Vince. But anyway, Yeah, I don't think if AEW, if they didn't hire Road Dogg last time, there's no reason to bring him in now. For a creative position, I'm not saying Road Dogg is toxic, but like creatively, do not bring him in creatively. There's a reason why there's a reason why he's not working there anymore. In ring-wise, I have below zero interest. We got our New Age Outlaws reunion run back in fucking 2013, 2014, 2015. We don't need any more of that. Daniel said, end of an era, indeed. Alexis said, hi, y'all. Alexis, what's going on? Joining us as always. Chani said, oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. Tony Khan's ass better not call him. I'll tell you that. I'm also excited for Revolution this weekend, Nathaniel. On 420, you have to rank Rob Van Dam's pay-per-view matches in ECW, WWE, and TNA. Not a bad idea. The issue is I haven't seen enough of Rob Van Dam's ECW pay-per-view matches to be able to rank them. I'd have to go back and watch all of them, and I don't know where you can watch them now because they're not on fucking Peacock. They took everything off of Peacock. WWE, I've seen all of his pay-per-view matches because I've seen all the WWE pay-per-views. TNA, I haven't seen. I probably have seen all of his pay-per-view matches. I didn't see like anything in TNA on pay-per-view before like 2010. But yeah, I've probably at this point seen most, if not all, of his pay-per-view matches in TNA. Nathaniel said, I might go to All In this year. I hope to see my guys Cope and Christian. They might be facing the Young Dollars. Yeah, I thought we would get that match at Revolution, but evidently not. But that'd be cool if you could go. I want to go to All In at some point. That's in England, obviously, but I think All In is back in London this year. Eric said, I saw Crime 101. Amazing movie. Cool. I haven't heard about it. That's cool that you enjoyed it. Eric said, wait, I thought Jet Speed and Hangman, he can't go too. No, Hangman and Jet Speed were the trios champions. They dropped the belts last week. Hangman is not pulling double duty. He's done with the trio stuff. The only reason they put the belts on Hangman and Jet Speed was because Powerhouse Hobbs left the company on a whim. And I don't think they expected it. He was literally champion up until his final fucking day in the company. And they had to take the championships off of him that day. So that was the only reason why they did what they did. As far as the Bam thing goes, Daniel said, Bam Adebayo, I can't even begin to pronounce that, scored 83 points, second most in history, and the most since Kobe scored 81 in 06. That's fucking nuts. It's pretty impressive. We're actually in the midst of, speaking of basketball, I actually started rewatching The Last Dance. And this time I started rewatching it with Alexis early last week. We're only on the second episode, or on the third episode now. We watched the second episode, but I'm in a basketball mood right now. So thank you for letting me know what the deal with Bam was. I also hear they might make Scream 8 and 9. I was like, when does it end? It ends when they don't make money. Mr. Marceau popping in. The man's on fucking vacation right now. He's on a work trip. And the guy's popping in with a comment about fake 83 points. Well, I heard there was a lot of outcry, too. Heard there was a lot of outcry over the fact that it was, like, not rigged, but I had seen people making pro wrestling comparisons, and a lot of people were TJ, exactly. A lot of people were upset about it. Mario said, sorry, my English is my third language. It's not the greatest. Well, it's totally okay, Marios. And Millennial New, what's going on, brother? Thanks for joining. No worries, Marios. I kind of figured that with some of the words that you've tended to botch here on the show, which is completely okay. Some people, English is their first language, and they still can't properly type out some of their questions and words and whatnot, and I have to kind of like decipher like it's the fucking, it's like it's a code or something like that. But no worries, Marius. I appreciate you chatting in per usual. And to answer your question from earlier, I kind of already did, but I'm digging the Roman Punk stuff. I'm digging the feud so far. Yoey's been Gucci. What's going on, brother? Would you recommend Insurrection? What, the WWE pay-per-view? What, the one that ran from like the late 90s to early 2000s? The answer would be no. I've watched all of those shows. I didn't really think they were anything good. I don't know what else you're talking. I don't know if you're talking about a movie, if you're talking about the pay-per-view. If you're talking about the pay-per-view, the answer would be no. None of those Insurrection shows were really all that good. Mr. Marceau said they stat-padded and purposely fouled him and wasn't around for Welt. The Kobe 81 was more impressive. Well, there you go. Mr. Marceau legit does know ball. So, A lot of controversy over that Bam accomplishment from the other day. And Daniel said Wilt's 100 was the same way, apparently. Kobe's 81 definitely more impressive. I'll give you that. Eric said, do you think Tekla and Stat should main event because what? Because of Women's History Month or something? No, I don't know what you just said. Because you didn't give a reason, but no. Tekla and Stat should be another good match. There are pay-per-views to have headlined by the women. This would not be one of them. You do not do a Texas Death Match where the stipulation where if Hangman loses, that he can never again challenge for the AEW World Championship after how much effort you've put into that build. You do not have that headline that show. Tekla and Stat, I've enjoyed the feud. Their prior two matches were good. They actually headlined Dynamite the second time around where Tekla won the AEW Women's World Championship. This is not the pay-per-view to have them headline. If anything, you have them headline, All In with Mercedes and Tony last year. They should have fucking headlined Revolution last year, did the women, with Mariah May and Toni Storm. That match was fantastic, and they didn't close it out, probably because they knew Mariah May was on her way out of the company. But no, I would not have them close out this show. Yeah, I agree, Mr. Marceau. He said, the man in the middle. Grant Matthews and Daniel said from North Carolina, which I did not know, and I've said this before, I did not know that was a I did not know that was a Michael Jordan Bulls reference until, because Justin Roberts used to do that for Kenny Omega when he was introducing him as the AEW World Champion, leading up to his heel turn back in 2020, 2021. I didn't know that was a Michael Jordan reference because I had not yet seen The Last Dance. I wasn't completely aware of that yet, so when I saw the doc a few years ago, I'm like, oh, that's why they did that. That's pretty fucking funny. But I love that. I've gone back and watched the Bulls entrances from the 90s. I did it after Punk made that Bulls entrance a few weeks ago at Chamber. I've just done it randomly since then. And it's just you had to fucking be there. I wasn't there. I wish I was there. People ask me all the time, do you, what pay-per-views do you wish you were at? I always say Money in the Bank 2011 or WrestleMania 17. I'll tell you another thing I wish I was at, when the fucking Bulls three-peated back in whatever year that was and won the championship. And really, any of those games that the Bulls played at with Michael Jordan on the team, I wish I was there in the United Center for any of those games. I'm sure the atmosphere was unbelievable. I'm more of if I had to go, and I have, gone to other sports outside of wrestling. This isn't Grant Matthews. Grant Matthews is the resident sports guy, as you guys know. If I personally had to go to another sports game, and I've gone to plenty of hockey games and football. I've gone to basketball, baseball, a fuck ton. My answer would always be basketball. It's not even a question. Hockey's good. Football kind of, when I'm there in person, kind of drags, but if someone really wanted me to go, I would go. Baseball, I've been to a bunch of times for family reasons, and that's always fun too. I've been to a couple games with Mr. Marceau, including a Tigers game a few years ago in Detroit, which was fun. We've actually but we went to the gift shop for Cubs Stadium, Wrigley Field. We went to Chicago back in 2018. But yeah, my answer would always be a basketball game. And I went to my first and only, at least so far, NBA game back in December of 2024, a Celtics game. Forgot who they played, but they won. And that was a great environment in the Garden. The fake Garden, not the real Garden. Mr. Marceau is not going to be happy about that, but it's true. Nathaniel said, I wonder if all of Roman's family will confront CM Punk. Well, what's the point of that? Jacob Fatu is busy right now on SmackDown. The Usos are already on Raw, so it makes sense. But what is fucking Rikishi going to show up? Nia Jax. I hope they just kind of keep it exclusive to the Usos. Solo's not showing up. He probably doesn't care. Yoey Spangucci said, Wizards were triple teaming Bam and fouling other Heat players to try to get him to score. Or to not score, he meant. Interesting. RJ said, yeah, and then the Heat players were purposely missing foul shots. Is that what FTs are? Are you interested in the Mandalorian Baby Yoda movie? I am. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it coming out on Alexis' birthday, actually. So we will either go see it that day or that weekend. It's over Memorial Day weekend, but I am actually, I'm not expecting a fucking barn burner for that movie, but I am looking forward to it. Yoey Spangucci said, I'm more mad at the Wizards for being so dog shit that Bam had 31 in the first quarter and 64 after 3. Well, there you go. This is quickly turning into a basketball podcast today. Daniel said, Bam's name being in between Wilt and Kobe isn't odd. is an odd LOL. An odd sight, I think is what he probably meant. And RJ said, Celtics beat the Bulls, the game that you went to. Did they? Was it the Bulls? I wanted to go to a Bulls game. I don't know if it was the Bulls, Mr. Marceau. Can you check for me? It was December 4th, I think. It was a Wednesday. I don't think it was the Bulls. I wanted to go to a Celtics Bulls game in late December of 2024, but we couldn't make it work, so we pivoted. We pivoted and went to a different... They faced a team that sucked, and it was not the Bulls. It wasn't like a great team, but it actually ended up being a pretty competitive game. Can you look that up for me, Mr. Marceau? I don't think it was the Bulls. Yoey Spingucci said, do you consider yourself a baller baby? I don't know what the fuck that means. Basketball baby? I don't know. I'm going to NXT next week, Eric said. Oh, that's cool. The one in San Antonio? That show on Tuesday? That's cool. I know they're doing JC, Zarya, and Sol Ruka for the NXT Women's Championship. They're doing Izzy, Damon, Tatum, Paxley again. Why? I don't know. But they're doing that inside of a steel cage for the North American Women's title. I'm not going to talk about Vengeance Day here today, but I'll just say quickly, I thought it was a fine show. Yeah, they faced the Pistons. That's what it was, RJ. Thank you. I thought Vengeance Day was a fine show. I didn't think it was anything overly special. I thought it was solid. I didn't think it was amazing. It was good. I mean, honestly, I completely forgot about the show until we were at we were seeing RJ and his wife on Saturday and whatnot. And then honestly, I completely forgot that the show was even fucking on until Alexis spoiled the Tatum Paxley win for me. She was like, oh, she won the title. I'm like, that didn't happen on Tuesday. Oh, fuck, she's talking about the show that's happening right now. Whatever. Yeah, December 4th, 2024 was the Pistons. Okay, that was the game I was at. They beat the Pistons. Thank you, Mr. Marceau. But yeah, no full-on Vengeance Day review. There's no real reason to. I just thought it was a decent show. They were at the Performance Center. Quite honestly, it felt like a glorified fucking episode of NXT TV. The show coming up on Tuesday this week will feel more like a takeover, being outside of the Performance Center, than what we got at the Performance Center for Vengeance Day this past weekend. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to transition back to the solo format, but Pete, please continue sending in your questions. I will go back to them momentarily.
Wrestling fans.
I want to talk... the intro's going off. What I want to talk real quick about is Cody Rhodes regaining the WWE Championship this past week on SmackDown and my thoughts on it. So chime in the comments. I will read them momentarily. I don't want to leave it here on the screen so I don't get distracted. But last week on SmackDown, it's been about 6 days at this point, so we are kind of well past the point of being angry about it, and I've allowed some time for my feelings to sink in. But Cody is once again the WWE Champion, having beaten Drew McIntyre on SmackDown in a regular old match, and it was far from their best match. Of all the matches they have had during this feud, dating back to fucking August. That is how long this feud has been going on, by the way. But dating back to when this feud first started, they've had 4 matches, 1 on pay-per-view, 1 on Saturday Night's Main Event, and 2 on SmackDown. Their 3 Stages of Hell match remains their best match. That got a decent amount of time, had the stipulations attached. That was a really good match. If you can recall, and I totally forgot about this, someone mentioned this to me, or someone had said this to me, I think, after Cody. I think this was right after Chamber. That Cody could not challenge for the championship. Like, no more rematches. Cody could not get a rematch for the championship after losing it. Now, if he won the Royal Rumble or won the Elimination Chamber, he would have earned the opportunity to go for the title of WrestleMania. And that would have been dog shit, and I didn't want him to win the Rumble. I didn't want him to win the Chamber. But at least that was his workaround to getting another shot. Neither of those things happened. He actually was just randomly awarded an opportunity at the title by Nick Aldis because Drew got involved inside of the Elimination Chamber. So they just randomly gave Cody Rhodes a shot. Jacob Fatu has been fucked over just as many times as Cody has been, if not more so. And also, so far, has not gotten a title shot, and very likely will not. We sat here on the show a week ago, myself and Mr. Marceau, saying, it's got to be a 4-way. How could it not be a 4-way? I could see a scenario where it's 2 separate singles matches. I don't think that works. Now, because Cody Rhodes is the new WWE Champion, he will defend against Randy Orton at WrestleMania 42, very likely what will end up being the Night 1 main event. Jacob Fatu will very likely face Drew McIntyre. Now, if you had told me those were the two matches, and I probably even pitched those matches back in November or December or even early January, is what we could get at WrestleMania, I would have been okay with that. I would have said that's fine. And I will say, I'm happy that Drew at least won the championship at all. You know, the expression, it's better to have loved than not to have loved at all, or whatever the fucking expression is. I feel that same way about Drew and the WWE Championship. Obviously, he is a former multi-time world champion. But during the course of this feud, he had to win the championship at least once. He had to. There was no way he could go through this entire feud and not win this title from Cody at least once. Now, his reign was not 5 minutes, as it was at WrestleMania 40 2 years ago. It wasn't even 2 weeks. It was a 2-month-long run with one championship defense against Sami Zayn at the Royal Rumble, which was a quality contest. But my issue is not with Drew McIntyre losing the championship at all. My issue is with Drew losing the championship on SmackDown and not having him walk into WrestleMania as champion. The man has never walked into Mania as champion. He has challenged for the championship of Mania. He has won the championship of Mania twice, the WWE title at Mania 36 and the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 40. Although he didn't leave WrestleMania 40 as World Heavyweight Champion. Obviously, we know Damian Priest cashed in mere minutes later, as they talked about the 5-minute reign. This would have been his chance to walk in as champion. He is one of, if not WWE's best heel. He's booked like shit. Not like complete shit, but Drew is not booked as well as he could be. He was made to look like Cody's bitch for so long that he finally won on SmackDown, when I didn't think he would. I did not think he would win that 3 Stages of Hell match. But we're so close to WrestleMania. And at this point, with the story they've told, why would you not just do a Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania? And it's not like, well, I didn't get what I want, so I'm upset. It's not even necessarily a case of that. It's more just a case of, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like the 4-way just made the most sense. Now, Cody and Randy, I'm not going to sit here and say, I don't care about that. That's a dumb story. That's a fucking waste. I am well aware of the fact that the alternative could have either been Cody and Drew again, which would be the worst possible scenario. They could have just done that match at Mania, because that was the report from Meltzer for a few months, that we were getting Cody and Drew again, which would have been fucking awful, especially if Cody just beat Drew like we saw on SmackDown, okay? Or a little bit better than that, but still not great, and I've talked about it before, why it wouldn't have worked. Cody and Roman 3 at Mania this year. It just didn't feel like the right time for that match. Now, of all those options, Cody Roman 3, Cody Drew fucking 4 or 5 or whatever it would have been, and then Cody and Randy. Cody and Randy's the best choice, but I still feel like with all the shit they have done, dating back to January, with Fatu, Orton, Rhodes, and McIntyre. And I'm not even a guy that will sit here and say, oh, I prefer 4-ways and triple threats in the Mania main events. I don't. I actually do prefer one-on-one matches. But all 4 of these men, if there was ever a year to do a multi-man match, it would be here. This is the year to do it. They have all been intertwined for so long now. How do you not do a 4-way for the championship? Now, is it still possible they can make it a 4-way? Sure, but I don't know how they could. I mean, I guess they could say Drew gets his title rematch and Fatu was involved and Orton obviously won the chamber. Sure, but if they were going to do a 4-way, they would not have had Cody win back the belt. Cody does not have to walk into WrestleMania as the WWE champion. And if he just had I'm glad he lost it and then won it back. It's not even the fact that that happened. I'm glad that he lost it and got it back. Cody can have month-long runs once in a while. 2-month or 3-month long runs once in a while. That's completely fine. But it's like they got me and many other people excited for a 4-way. I just feel like that's a stronger match at this point with the direction they were going in and the story they were telling than 2 separate singles matches. Because as it stands, we have a little over a month until WrestleMania, until Cody and Randy at Mania for the WWE Championship. That's a major match. Of all the times they could have done this match, at Mania last year, at SummerSlam last year, at any point leading up to WrestleMania this year, or even at WrestleMania itself. It's weird to say that this doesn't feel like the right time for Cody and Randy. They have teased it so much since Cody has been back in the company for the last 4 years. I'm glad we're finally getting it, and obviously we had it a year ago in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament, and Cody beat him. And there's a story there with Orton going full heel. And of the two, by the way, I would have Orton go heel. I would not have Cody. If you have Cody go heel, it's not worst case scenario, but just with the story they've told, Orton has every reason to want to fucking just betray this guy. I mean, Cody, he's been booked like such the poster child of this company, to where like he's getting title shots. The guy he got put in the Rumble. Okay, I lost to Drew. I'll put you in the Rumble. All right, you lost the Rumble. We'll put you in the Chamber. Now, granted, he qualified for the Chamber, but then he got this title shot on SmackDown for literally no reason. He was just as worthy as almost anyone for getting that shot last Friday on SmackDown. And it's not a Cody issue necessarily. It's the booking of Cody. Cody is great. Cody, if you want to make him the face of the company, which he is, I have no issue with that. He is absolutely deserving of that. But they are quietly and quickly making him the next John Cena. He already is the new Cena in the sense that he's the biggest babyface in the company. They promote him as such. He does all the media and the Make-A-Wishes and shit like that. And that is wonderful. He is the right guy for that spot. My problem is that he's becoming the next Cena and how they book Cena. Now, granted, when they put the first world championship on Cena, they turned on Cena a hell of a lot quicker than they have been turning on Cody. Now, Cody's been booed sporadically in some cities more than others. I am extremely curious how the crowd will treat him going forward. Will he get booed tomorrow night on SmackDown? Will he get booed at WrestleMania? When he is facing a fellow fan favorite in Orton, who is universally beloved by most of the audience, even if that man, and I've said this before, that man could fucking punt a baby and they would still cheer for Randy Orton, what does that say about Cody, who on paper doesn't feel as cool as Randy Orton? Will they use that as an opportunity to turn Cody? Maybe, but I just feel like bigger picture here, and you also don't have anyone to replace Rhodes in that top spot, not only on SmackDown, but just WWE in general, I would not turn Cody right now. And I don't think it helps the fact there is more to argue that you should turn Cody, because you just put the belt back on him. I saw the 100,000 dislikes. I did see all that guy paid for all those dislikes. I mean, it's really a lose-lose, because if he did, then you just look like a fucking loser. Like, what a dumb thing to do. You wasted hundreds of dollars on a fucking video to dislike it, and then you admitted to it like a moron. But I'm also of the mindset that I don't even know if that's possible. I mean, almost anything is possible with bots nowadays and whatnot, but I don't know if that's possible. I mean, that just sounded silly to me, and it just looks stupid anyway. And then people genuinely did dislike that video over 100,000 times, and which would not surprise me because it was a very polarizing decision online. Yes, the crowd popped in the building. No shit. Cody is popular, and they witnessed the WWE title change. No shit, they popped. But it's more about week 2, week 3, week 4. How will the crowd react? And again, I'm looking forward to the match. I am very much looking forward to seeing how they tell this story. They're both currently baby faces. At this point, we're so close to Mania. If there's going to be a turn, you do it at WrestleMania. Would they really turn both either Cody and Orton and Punk or Roman on that same weekend? Because we've talked about before, what's the big hook for Punk and Roman at the end of that show? Does Roman just win the belt, LOL, and we go off the air? I would have Punk retain. And if he turned heel, that would be an amazing fucking ending to that show. But do you do the same thing on night 1 as well? I mean, that would have been like if they turned Cena at Mania, which would have been amazing, but then also turned Rollins on night 1 of Mania. You don't do 2 heel turns back-to-back like that. It just feels too similar. Instead, they did the Cena turn early. I would have saved it until Mania. I don't know how that would have shaken out, but they have some stuff to figure out on the road to Mania. Does Orton win the championship? Clean. Does he cheat? I don't know. I'd be fine with Orton winning the championship, but I really do think Cody and Orton, by the way, spoiler alert, doesn't need the title. It doesn't need the championship. I know Orton's going for like his 15th title, 16th title, whatever the fuck it is. But you could have easily, in my opinion, had fought 2 in that spot. And him walk out as the new champion. And then done Drew and Fatu coming out of Mania. Cody and Randy coming out of Mania for not the championship. They got to be careful with Cody Rhodes. Because the more they shove him down people's throats where he wins the belt, holds it for a while, loses it, but then gets it right back from that same exact person, it's not going to end well for Cody as far as the booking of Cody, his fan reactions. And it doesn't have to be that way. If they booked him perfectly, he wouldn't be getting booed at all because I feel like he excels in that role as the top babyface. I'm glad it's taken this long for them to get to this point. But I mean, it was pretty alarming last year that they turned Cena heel, having him say all these despicable things, and they still fucking cheered the guy. I mean, it's John Cena. But they were booing Cody, even going into SummerSlam. I was there at the MetLife Stadium show where they booed Cody Rhodes. They got to be careful, man. This sort of shit does not help. If he loses the belt to Orton but then gets it back at fucking Backlash, I mean, it's just a waste. And that's exactly the sort of shit they did with Cena that did him in the long run. So, not a fan of the title change. I am curious to see how it's handled. Maybe this works out for the best. We get a big marquee main event with Cody and Randy at Mania. Turns out to be a great match. Fatu beating Drew, gonna be honest with you, isn't really that big of a W. I mean, Drew has lost so often whenever it's mattered most in the last 6 or 7 months, really the last year or two, that Fatu beating him doesn't really mean much. The end game in all of this, if it's not a 4-way, should be, and maybe we get that 4-way Backlash. I'll just say this to end this part of the conversation before I open up the chat. It should be Fatu taking that title. Not like in 2 years, not in 5 years. Not everyone has to be champion when they're fucking 45. Fatu should have been champion by Mania. But he also could be champion still by the spring or by SummerSlam. Clearly at this point not happening at Mania. But it could still happen on the sooner side if they play their cards right. All right, let me pull up the chat here real quick before we move on to our next part of the conversation. Well, Alexis spoiling more finished. Yoey Smaguchi said, RJ, thoughts on Shadur? Mr. Marceau, you got to answer. What are your thoughts on Shadur? You're here in the chat, or at least he was. We need Mr. Marceau's thoughts on Shadur. He's here. Houston, yes, I'm going to the show in Houston. Very nice, Eric. He also said, unfortunately, for some reason, they will never let Drew be in the main event group of Cody, Roman, Brock. He's a tier 2 main eventer. He is. He's more of a main eventer than, I hate to say it, as far as how they're positioned, he is more of a main eventer than KO or Sammy, who I think are excellent. But KO and Balor I would put in tier 3 main eventer. Balor, Owens, and Sammy, where they can have these guys challenge for the championship. They're popular, they're over, they're established, they're credible, but then they won't win when it matters most at the main event level for a world championship. Sammy will win a world championship eventually. I don't know how long that run will last. I think it'll be like Kofi Mania 2.0, which is not a bad spot to be in. KO, I'm convinced they're not going to put the belt back on ever. And then Finn Balor, there's a slight chance, but I'm still not convinced that will ever happen. But, they have Drew. He's a tier 2 main eventer. Shadur didn't get traded, Mr. Marceau said. Well, there you go. There was a trade with the Max Crosby trade. Mr. Marceau and I were discussing that over text yesterday. If you want his thoughts on that, Yoey Spangucci, you can ask him about that. He's got some thoughts. He didn't pass his physical, but he also just had knee surgery. Give Me Back Shots Marceau is here, even though Mr. Marceau is not on screen. He is in the chat, but Give Me Back Shots Marceau will show up regardless. I appreciate the hustle. Johnny said, I hear Triple H is looking to book Brock Lesnar versus Bam in an 83-second squash match at Mania. I mean, honestly, I'd rather see that than Brock facing LA Knight or Seth. I have zero interest in either of those matches. Did I hear the report about Brock Lesnar not wanting to lose? Yes, I did hear that. I don't know how credible that is. I think it did come from I don't think that was a rumor. I think that was from Self-Made, which is a more credible outlet for news from Ibu, I believe. If that's true, and honestly, that doesn't sound completely unbelievable. The report specifically said, not that Brock didn't want to lose, which I would believe. The report specifically said they didn't want to have him lose. Brock and Heyman or Triple H or whoever the fuck is, I mean, more so probably Heyman would be my guess. That they didn't want to have Brock lose before his retirement match. I am still not convinced Brock is retiring at SummerSlam. I'm not convinced. I don't see that happening. I think the guy will be here on and off for the next few years, like it or not. I think there is. Mr. Marceau and I discussed it 2 weeks ago here on the show. There is, and this is coming from someone who's always enjoyed Brock and his work and his contributions to the company. There is zero, count it, zero reason to have Brock Lesnar around in WWE in 2026. He offers fucking nothing. Have the man lose to Oba, probably to Gunther too, and then move on. And the idea that they don't want to have Brock lose until he retires, who gives a shit? I mean, Oba beating Brock would mean something. Gunther beating Brock doesn't really make Gunther. He already fucking retired John Cena. Like, he doesn't need that win either, but he shouldn't, sure as fuck should not be losing to Brock. Losing to Brock accomplishes nothing. for literally anyone that faces Brock. What a fucking joke. If the only reason they're doing this open challenge is so they could put someone in there with Brock that could lose, I mean, that might be why they do him in LA Knight, because LA Knight's not winning. Rollins facing Brock and then losing would just be stupid. Like, what would be the point of that? Oba facing Brock would be dumb. And what's the idea? Oh, he looked good in defeat. Fuck that, man. Brock Lesnar is such a waste of a roster spot at this point. He absolutely should not be beating Oba Femi. He should not be beating anyone. They had him beat, he won the War Games team. Okay, whatever. He beat Cena. Okay, that was dumb, and the match was a fucking waste of time anyway. Him beating actual young talent in 2026 is so stupid. That doesn't make sense to me. Daniel said, I completely agree with Daniel. He said, I think Brock is way past the point of the juice being worth the squeeze to be making those type of demands. I completely fucking agree. This is not 2015 anymore. Noob said, I heard that we're finally getting the Women's United States Championship match at Mania. Yeah, I did see that report. That's worth mentioning too. It was reported that Tiffany could be challenging for the title of WrestleMania. I think that's good. I like that idea a lot, actually. I think that's a good match to do. I think Mr. Marceau and I were the ones that pitched that last week. Not that we're responsible for that happening specifically, but I think that made the most sense. You get Tiffany on the show, you get the Women's United States Championship defended. We're getting a women's IC title match with AJ. AJ will not be on the card. AJ will be on the card. So, yeah, I like that. It is weird, though, because they have teased Tiffany and Chelsea. Maybe they just blow that off on SmackDown. I say do a multi-person match. How many fucking multi-person matches are we going to have at Mania? It shouldn't exceed like 2. Last year we had 2 triple threats and a 4-way. I think even that was too much. We'll see. I think just Tiffany and Julia straight up would be great, though. It gets Julia on the card. It gets Tiffany on the card. It's a match I don't think we've seen one-on-one yet, so I like that. Do I think Jacob's past transgressions will ultimately limit his WWE ceiling? No, I don't. Yoey Spingucci, I don't. Because if they did, first of all, his past record of being in prison and whatever did prevent him, I fully believe, from being hired in the past. But then when Triple H took over, he's like, fuck that. Not that it doesn't matter. It's not like the guy, we're not talking about O.J. Simpson here. I'm not going to get into exactly of Fatu's past record, but yeah, he was in prison, but it's not like he was guilty of some like Benoit level shit. So he should have always been in WWE. I'm glad he is now. And if they didn't think, it's not even like, oh, he has a history of being suspended, like a Jeff Hardy sort of thing. He's been on his best behavior since being in WWE. For all we know, he has not been suspended. He seems like a great dude. I've interviewed Jacob before. He seems really cool, really chill. He seems well-liked backstage. There's no reason to think, oh yeah, because he has a record from decades ago, to my knowledge, that they won't put the World Championship on him. He's been in main events of pay-per-views, of SmackDowns. He's been a focused player. He's not like a background guy in the MFTs at this point. So I don't think it will. I think he will be World Champion at some point. Otherwise, why would you push him so far to not win the big one? Do I think Fatu should beat Orton for the title if Orton wins it? Yes. Also, I forgot to mention this as part of my rant, that if they do Fatu and Orton, would they just reveal Drew, or Fatu and Drew, rather? Would they just reveal Drew as the one who attacked Fatu backstage a few months ago? That's fucking lame. Drew literally said he did not do it. Now, obviously, he's a heel. He could be lying. But that would just be lame. We kind of already figured it would be Drew. If it was Drew, they should have just said that from the get-go, that it was him. But they had to go with the mystery idea. They didn't have to. They could have just said it was Drew to put more heat on Drew. He was already feuding with Drew. So, I don't know. I think that's... If they say it was Drew, that's stupid. I think there's a chance they could leave it open, not reveal it as Drew, and then after Orton maybe goes heel, or if Cody goes heel, one of those two guys is the one responsible for attacking Fatu. That's what I would do. Have I heard any updates on KO? Yes, actually. I did see that report from last week, I think it was. Wasn't that when it was? That KO had the neck surgery, and I think they're looking to reevaluate him in the summer to see how he's kind of moving along, how his neck's doing. So, yeah, I heard that things are going well. I think also as part of that report from Fightful was that they were hoping to have him back in an in-ring role this year. And I know that sounds crazy, like, oh, he's been already out for a year, like he's not going to, surely he wouldn't miss 2 years. Rather, it was fucking neck surgery. So, I mean, it's definitely possible he's out for at least 2 years. I mean, he could be out forever. I mean, this could be a Big E situation. I don't think that's the case. I think he will be back. 2026 seems extremely soon, even though we're only in March, considering like it's not like he's training or like, oh yeah, he's cleared, but they're waiting for the right time. No, he's not even remotely cleared. So I feel like it would be next year, but this year would be awesome if possible, and if he's up to it. Ravens are full of shit. Daniel said. Eric said LA Knight is like the captain of the Tier 3 main eventer. I wouldn't even put him at Tier 3. LA Knight is like Tier 4, because at least all the other people I mentioned, Sami Zayn will win a world title. Kevin Owens has been world champion in WWE. Finn Balor, for a day, was world champion in WWE. LA Knight has not been champion of fucking anything. He was a United States champion twice. Great. He is Tier 1 mid-card. I hate to say that, but he is. I mean, he's challenged for the world championship, and he's extremely popular, more than almost anyone else I just mentioned. But he has not even, like, come close to sniffing that world title. They put him in world title matches, but never did I think he would actually win. So I would put him at Tier 1 mid-card, if we're being honest here. Nathaniel said if Brock wins all of his matches, then he should then retire. That would be crazy. I mean, he wouldn't win all of his matches and then leave like Sting style. He would probably, I think the idea is that he would lose his last match. I mean, this is fucking Paul Heyman and Brock we're talking about, so who knows? But even that as an idea, I think would be stupid. He should lose before then. Protecting Brock really isn't that big of a deal. Should Brock beat Trevor? Yeah, listen, I'm not a big fan of Brock's booking, but Trevor is such a piece of shit. Does anyone here like Trevor? Fuck Trevor, man. Trevor's got to lose to Brock. He should do the JOB to Brock for sure. Johnny said, imagine that Brock Lesnar's retirement match, the fans chanted Janelle Grant. Well, that would be terrible. I don't know why they would. I mean, just leave that poor woman alone at this point. No need to drudge up any bad blood that that she might have. I mean, that she still has clearly, but maybe they could chant, I don't know, John Laurinaitis or something. He deserves to be, not like recognized, but he deserves to be recognized as a piece of shit. Give me back shots, Marceau said, didn't Triple H tell Austin he didn't run him over? He did. Triple H lied as well. I mean, yeah, Triple H did lie as well. I mean, I wasn't around back then, so I can't tell you that, it was so obvious it was Triple H, and he said no. I mean, yeah, again, heels lie. Surprise, surprise, heels lie. I get that. Did Triple H say it wasn't him for 6 months? That's my point. Drew has mentioned that it wasn't him. Like, for 6 months now, he has said it was not him. If there was any time to just own up to it, it would have been when Fatu either came back or when he fucking did it. Drew does not seem like the type of character to lie about it. Triple H is a manipulator. Triple H lying about it makes sense. Drew's not a manipulator. He is actually one of the more honest characters, heel or babyface, on that show right now. Him lying about it would just be a cop-out because they changed plans. That would be dumb. I mean, Mr. Marceau mentioning Triple H also said it wasn't him who attacked Shawn Michaels. I will also tell you this. I was also not around for that. That shit was fucking dumb. And I have said this to RJ himself as well. We've discussed this and joked about it. I will just mention this briefly. We don't need to go on a whole tangent about it. But he's talking about in the summer of 2002, okay, with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. So what was so fucking dumb about that was that D-Generation X literally reunited for a night. Triple H turns on him. The next week, Shawn gets attacked backstage. Triple H says it wasn't him. Are you fucking... We just saw him attack him last week. Why would it not be Triple H? And then like a week later, they're like, oh, it was actually me. Like, oh, yeah, no shit. We kind of figured that. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. The build-up, the match at SummerSlam is great. But they talked about that in the video package. I'm like, did he not turn on him a week ago? And now he's saying he wasn't the one who attacked him? That was just stupid. Noob said we're possibly getting a triple threat match between Asuka, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane at WrestleMania 42. But like you said, we don't need to see multi-person matches because that Mania this year, there's going to be a lot of them. I did see that report as well. I get getting Kairi in there. I would just keep it to Io and Asuka. Again, you got to weigh out how many multi-person matches and multi-team matches are we doing. It can't exceed like 2. I mean, even 3, like I said, would be excessive. I mean, you don't need Kairi in there. She could, I like Kairi. Kairi has wrestled at WrestleMania a whole bunch, as has Asuka. It's not like Kairi's never had a Mania match. You know what I mean? Like, Kairi's not fucking winning that match. Io was just in a triple threat a year ago. We don't need her in another triple threat. That sounds like a great match. I don't know that needs to be a triple threat. I wouldn't complain, but it depends how many other multi-person matches we're doing at Mania. There's other matches I would rather see be triple threats or four-ways or whatever than that. I think Io and Asuka, considering they have not had a major match one-on-one ever in WWE, they did on SmackDown a few years ago, but like on pay-per-view, I would just keep it one-on-one. Nathaniel said, I wonder who Becky loses the IC title to if she wins it again at WrestleMania. I don't know. I mean, I would say Roxanne Perez, but she's a heel. Becky winning it back again is just like, I mean, she kind of has to because AJ's not full-time, it seems like. But like, I mean, come on. Again, Becky is a 3-time, like, move on. She really should be done either in that title scene or just have the title and not constantly win it and lose it back. But if she does win it back, which I expect that she will, honestly, you know what? She should lose it to Lyra. She should have lost it to Lyra at SummerSlam last year, but they kept the belt on her. And the whole stipulation with Lyra was that Lyra could not challenge for the championship as long as Becky was champion. During that run, I believe was the implication. Becky has since lost the belt from that first run. So Lyra could go for the belt again. That's what I would do. I would do Becky, and maybe she drops it to Lyra, not Maxine Dupree. Is Paul Heyman past his prime? Yes. Yes, he is. I like Paul. I think there's a lot more he can contribute behind the scenes in front of the camera. Creatively, as a character, they are so beyond the need for Paul Heyman, and I think he can contribute, but he is all over these fucking shows, cutting a lot of the same promos. How many times can you see him link up with someone and then turn on them? It happens all the time. Fernando, what's going on, brother? He said, what's up, WrestleRant? Sorry for being late. No worries, my man. Thanks for joining. I would be okay if Lyra won it back from her. Nathaniel said, I agree. Now, we'll get to this next from Magic Plumaire, because I wanted to discuss this here on the show. I'll probably move the chat away for a couple of minutes and then bring the chat back as we talk about this. But he asked earlier, is there a place for Road Dogg in WWE? Yeah, I would say there is a place for Road Dogg in WWE. It's just not on creative. Okay? Nothing against Road Dogg personally. I think he seems like a perfectly fine dude by all accounts. He did not come across well on Unreal, and I think the writing was on the wall at that point. I mean, the writing's on the wall for all of them, really. Really, all of the old heads on that team, Bruce, Hayes, Road Dogg, even Triple H on that show, did not come across great. Triple H probably came across the best of those four, but that could have been by design. They could have said, hey, like, cut out these certain things, or not make them look bad, but like make me look better, because he has the stroke to do that. I'm not saying he definitely did do that, but I'm just saying it's more likely. With Road Dogg, the fact he was in a position of power on creative for over a fucking decade. I forgot who I said that to. Maybe he was here on hashtag a few weeks ago. I don't know who it was. But the fact that he was on creative, on and off, for over a decade is completely ridiculous. I mean, it's not as if Road Dogg, to my knowledge, was ever praised as this creative genius coming up in the business alongside Jeff Jarrett. I don't think he ever was. I mean, it was nice that they brought him back and they tried him out in that role, but this was the same man, presumably, that was responsible for that awful, god-awful year, one of the worst of all time for SmackDown in 2017, and that Jinder Mahal run. And AJ Styles' excuse, who's very close with Road Dogg, he had said about a year ago, earlier, whenever it was last year, he said, you can't shit on Road Dogg. He was answering to Vince. That was Vince's vision. Okay, well, Vince has been gone now for years. Road Dogg's answering to Triple H. Triple H is also part of the problem to a degree, but Road Dogg, he seems much more emotionally driven. Based on what I saw from him on Unreal, he seems like the type of person that is much more emotionally driven. And him going is the first step in the right direction, a good step in the right direction for that creative team. I'm not saying they have to get rid of everyone at the top. At some point, Triple H isn't going to be there either. They have to start grooming the next generation of writers. We talk about the next, the talent of tomorrow in WWE, wrestler-wise. They got to start doing the same thing with the writers. And on a related note, I don't think he left because of this. I mean, the report from PW Insider was that he got his annual review. He wasn't happy with it, so he left. I mean, that sounds like something that probably could have happened. He might have a different side of the story. The truth could be there somewhere in the middle. But on a unrelated, like, it is related, but it's not like he left the position and they appointed this person because he was gone. It just so happened to be, come out publicly around the same time last Thursday, that they have a new female lead writer for Monday Night Raw, and her name is Alexandra Williams. She's been with the company for a while. I think she was on Unreal, but not as a head writer. I mean, we didn't really hear from her at all. She was a head executive on the team, but now she's like literally the head of Raw. And I don't know if Ryan Ward is doing SmackDown. I think he is. SmackDown's been better this year. Even as a 3-hour show, the 3-hour format sucks, but creatively SmackDown's been better. Not great, but better. And Raw's been inconsistent. Raw, I thought last week was great. I thought Raw this week was good. To me, I mean, it does feel like there is a happy medium there with having too many cooks in the kitchen and then not enough. Like, not to bring AEW into the conversation, but with AEW, it feels like, I don't know what their writing process is. I know there's people that Tony listens to, but it seems like Tony writes everything himself. Not like segments, promo by promo, line by line, but I'm saying like he comes up with everything. He'll take suggestions, but it's really the writing team is just him. Whereas in WWE, which I don't think is a good idea. I think his great stuff is great, but you could also tell like the shit, like, oh, the money matches, that shit's got to go. For $500,000, a tag team, like who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like they got to have more people than just Tony booking some of these shows, or appoint someone to Collision and have Tony be in charge of Dynamite. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. In WWE, it feels like there's too many of that. You watch Unreal, they have the writer's assistants, they have Bobby Roode in there, Pritchard, Hayes, Road Dogg, who's now gone. Alexander Williams, Triple H is obviously in charge of it all. Ryan Ward, Ed Koskey. I mean, that's too many writers. And it's not like, they're all contributing ideas, but maybe that's why some of these shows are creatively inconsistent. At least with AEW, it's all written by Tony. So you can blame and praise him for everything. In WWE, I don't know who the fuck is in charge of what. Like watching Raw on Monday, I'll just mention this quickly, because we're not going to get into a full-on Raw review. We're going to do a Revolution prediction panel real quick, or just a prediction preview thing to close out the show here in a few minutes. But with Raw on Monday, I mentioned this at the top of the hour, at the start of the show, that the good stuff was really good. The bad stuff sucked. Like, the good stuff included that really good women's gauntlet. The crowd was quiet for it, but, that wasn't really a segment. I'm not going to say that that Alexandra Williams was in charge of that specifically, but I could see it. And we spoke, I don't know when it was. I think it was yesterday I was speaking to someone about it or whatever, but, the women's matches always constantly outshine the men. The women are the best part of the shows. The only issue with the women in WWE, the biggest issue, and we've been talking about this for years now, are the storylines, or lack thereof. Some are good, a lot of which are just either non-existent or bad, not fully fleshed out as much as the men's. But the women have there's more talent there, and they're more must-see on the show almost every single week. But anyway, I liked the gauntlet on Monday. I thought the closing segment with Punk and the Usos was really good. I thought the Judgment Day angle with them exiling Finn Balor was really good. But then you have the Masked Men bullshit and the Grande Americano fucking shit. Who is that shit attributed to? I need to know. I genuinely need to know. The Masked Men nonsense where they're all playing Scooby-Doo and running all over the place was absolute garbage. And you can't change my mind on that. I know that was the general consensus online. I actually agree with the internet in this case. I thought that segment sucked. The whole Masked Man thing has sucked for months now, really. It's so unoriginal. It's unimaginative. It's uninspired. It's fucking boring. It's repetitive. It's bad television. And that was the peak of it on Monday. That screams Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman gets praised for being a creative genius. In a lot of ways, he is. But this is also the same man when he was writing Raw in 2019. For all the good stuff he tried to do and pushing fresh faces, he was also in charge of like the Liv Morgan-Lana wedding angle where Liv was obsessed with Lana and they wanted to have doing, if it was like a well-done LBGTQ plus storyline or whatever, like if it was in good taste, I'd be totally cool with it. But Heyman's whole idea was, we're going to have Liv in a bathtub, and then she's going to be obsessed with Lana, and then it's going to be like lesbian love on the show. It was just dumb. It felt like an ECW-esque storyline from 30 years ago that's not entertaining, it's not good, it's shock jock TV. It's just garbage. And it's kind of what we got on Monday with that segment. And the Grande shit, I don't know who the fuck is in charge of that, but it's got to go. I like Kaiser, I like Gable, I like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, who were in the other masks as Americano Rayo and Bravo Americano, whatever. Everyone involved in the angle is good. The mask shit has got to go. None of them need the masks. It's all garbage. If it's over in AAA, cute, keep it over there. Keep it relegated to Mexico. It does not need to be on these main roster shows. It serves no purpose. It gets no reaction. The crowds do not care. The matches are repetitive. It's not getting anyone over. It's just a ginormous waste of time. So hopefully these creative changes can help with stuff like that, including on SmackDown, adding some more variety, making some of these segments better. WWE, I've said before, is not garbage right now. There's a lot of good stuff, a lot of shit that doesn't do much for me. The masked men shit is bad. The Grande stuff is bad. But most of WWE is fine. And I've said this before, the timing is what the problem is. I mean, the timing is always unideal. You should always have good television, not fine television. Your television should be good. But it's especially weak right now because it's the road to WrestleMania, and it's especially apparent because of that. It should be a lot better than it is. I think Raw the last 2 weeks has been good. SmackDown last week was not a great show at all. It was okay. It wasn't terrible. I saw that it got the lowest rating in cage match history. Cage match is a joke. I mean, who gives a shit about cage match? It was not the worst SmackDown I've ever seen. I've seen worse SmackDowns in the last 3 or 4 or 5 months than I have on Friday night. But it's clear that this company needs creative changes. Appointing a woman in charge of Raw, I think, is a big step in the right direction. And people have said, "Oh, I don't care what, who they are, what their gender is. It should be good television." I agree with that, but at the same time, they do need more diversity. They do. I mean, we can make the case. I mean, I could say that too, and I completely agree with that, but I think there is also something to be said about having more minorities on the team, more females on the team, younger people on the team. I mean, WWE as it is right now is apparently exposed by Unreal, which might go down as one of the biggest fucking, might blow up in their face ultimately. But it exposed that writing team for only really having, aside from Bobby Roode, who is white male, is a white male obviously, but he's younger. Aside from him, it's Hayes, Pritchard, Road Dogg, and Triple H. All fucking old white men. All the same. I'm not saying you need to have, we need to have someone of color on the team. You probably should. And they do. Ryan Ward is is one of their black creative writers, and he's been there for a long time, and that's great. I'm not just saying hire them because they to fill a fucking quota. They should be talented enough to be in that spot, obviously. But it wouldn't hurt to add some variety to that team. Now that Road Dogg is gone, maybe that's a spot that opens up for someone else. Or they just tighten up their creative and focus on who they have already, as opposed to adding in different voices. Because that felt like it was the biggest issue with the Vince era, where it felt like there were 30 writers on that team. And it didn't even matter because none of them really got their shit in, because it was always Vince's way or nothing. It was always Vince's vision, and they kind of had to adhere to that. Triple H seems to be more open, but it would be nice if they had some more variety. Road Dogg's departure could be an opportunity for them to capitalize on that. All right, let's go back to the chat here. Boom. Let's see what you guys are saying real quick before we close out with our Revolution predictions. We are an hour 10 in here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said earlier, if you are watching live or after the fact, please like the video if you haven't already. Would very much appreciate it. Always helps these videos. Eric said, why are so many champions all of a sudden getting to just vacate instead of losing them? I mean, Oba, Kendall, Jackson, really? Jackson, who is Jackson who? Was the Evolve? Did the Evolve champion? I know Kendall Gray, I did see that. Oba should have lost his title. He'd already been beaten NXT. It's not like he was undefeated. He really should have also been beaten. Kendall Gray, I agree, should have lost. Jackson Drake, isn't that his name? The Evolved Men's Champion? Did he just vacate his title because they're on NXT now? That's just dumb. Is The Rock in creative? No, and he should not be. To my knowledge, he's not anyway. I know he's on the board. I don't think he's in creative. Fernando said, what are your thoughts on the reports that LA Knight is frustrated with his creative and requested to be moved from SmackDown to Raw and is still unhappy? Can you see him asking for his release at any time? I don't know how new that report is. I don't know where you're seeing that. Maybe that came out today and I just missed it. I'm not sure. I could believe that, though. I could absolutely believe Knight saying, hey, put me on Raw. I'm stuck in the MFT vortex. It's not doing me any favors. Get me the fuck away from this shit. And then sure enough, they put him in the Vision vortex on Mondays. He's been feuding with the Vision since last June. It is March of 2026. He has had matches with everyone from Theory to Bronson to Breaker to Logan to all of them combined in tag team matches. We have to move the fuck on. Can I see him asking for his release? At some point, he probably will. Yeah. I mean, he's probably making a fuck ton of money. He's got it. How can you not be frustrated if you're in his spot? He is so over. And they're not really, not that they're not doing anything with him, but are they really? I mean, come on. He's been feeding with the vision for months with no real end game in sight. I would be frustrated too. Is he a good fit for AEW? He's not. And I think there's a reason why he did not go there in 2019. And he did not go there in 2021. He could have gone there either time. He had left TNA in 2019 and AEW just started up. He didn't go there then. And he could have gone in 2021 when he left the NWA and he went to WWE instead. I don't think he's a good fit there. Could he work there? I mean, sure. I think AEW would be dumb to not pick him up. But at this point, he's also like 41. I mean, he's getting older. What could he really do over there? Like, he would have to start from scratch. Like, I don't think he'd be automatically included in the main event level in AEW. If he even were to get to that level, he would have to start from scratch. AEW is much more of a wrestling company. LA Knight is not a wrestling guy. So that's specifically why I do not see it being a good fit for him. Where do you stand on babyfaces tapping out? I have no issue with it. I know the argument could be, it makes them look weak, or they shouldn't because they should never give up. I had no issue with the Cena give up tap out thing. I have no issue with babyfaces tapping. I could see what the logic is there, but I don't personally have a problem with it. I never have. Johnny said, how would you rank the tag team divisions between Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, and the women's and WWE and AEW? It's a good question. Genuinely, I think the women's tag team division in WWE is the best of all. That might sound crazy, and that I would have fucking called myself crazy for saying that a year ago, but it's true. The women's tag team division since like October is the best it's ever been. And that's also a low bar for the other teams, but in the other divisions. But the women's tag team division is the best it's ever been. It's also the best tag division in any of those brands. I would go with the women in WWE at number 1, the men's tag team division in AEW at number 2, the women's tag team division in AEW at number 3. Oh my God. Raw, SmackDown, and NXT are just a fucking mess, man. NXT tag team division at 4, Raw tag team, or SmackDown tag team division at 5. I mean, at least those titles they're not even defended, actually. They're on the MFTs. They barely defended them. I mean, there's more talent there. On Raw, there's like nothing. On Raw, the Usos, I mean, I like the Usos, but that division's been ice cold for a long time. It was getting going there for like a month when AJ and Dragon Lee were champions. I would still put SmackDown at 5 and Raw at 6. Richie, what's going on, brother? Said, what's good, big dog, GSM, howdy, chat. Did you get a new camera? The colors look more vibrant and the picture is looking sharp. I appreciate that, brother. It is not a new camera. It's the same camera. It might be just because Mr. Marceau's not here and I'm using it and it's a solo layout. But then again, I use the same thing on Tuesday, so I don't know. I've had to restart my laptop a few times because sometimes my camera does not work. I don't know. It's weird. Sometimes I'll start up the OBS Studio thing to do these streams and it just doesn't work and I have to restart my laptop. So I don't know. I also have bad lighting at the moment. I mean, the lighting's fine, but I had like a light for like a light stand behind the camera and it broke a few weeks ago. I got to buy a new one. So currently I'm just using my desk light. Johnny said Scooby-Doo and Fred should accompany Seth Rollins on the next Raw. I mean, it's a lot of Scooby-Doo bullshit. Mr. Marceau said it was great. Daniel said it was cringe. I more so agree with that. The Masked Men circle jerk was stupid. I agree. Daniel said, saw a tweet that you said you can wear all black with a black hoodie and jump the barricade and security will just assume you're part of the show. Probably right. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. Which honestly sounds dangerous. It's going to lead to a lot of copycat people. Johnny said, I care about cage match. I personally do not. It's fine if you do. I don't give a fuck. I don't really care. I mean, for everyone that shits on Meltzer, I feel like he has more credibility than... I mean, the cage match stuff is like, oh, it was amazing, 10 out of 10. That show sucked, 2 out of 10. Like, there's stuff called in between. I really do not rely on cage match at all. Fernando said, I'm calling this the ruthless depression... Excuse me. He said, I'm calling this the ruthless depression era for WWE. Yeah, I've seen people say that. I wouldn't go so far as to say that, but it is a funny term, though. Magic Plumaire said, RJ, do you care about Adam? Who is Adam? If we know who Adam is, maybe he'll answer. Richie said, WWE is going to give Rollins a huge Mania entrance similar to Cena at Mania 25, where a whole slew of masked men line up at the ramp and Rollins comes out and unmasks again. Imagine if this happens. 2 things. 1, that you might have just given them an idea, Richie. Don't do that. And 2, I genuinely am not joking when I say I feel like there's a slight possibility of them. I mean, if they dragged out the masked men ship for this long, what is stopping them from doing something masked men like blowing it off at Mania with an entrance like that? That sounds absolute terrible. Absolutely terrible. I could totally see them doing that. That is scary. Fernando said, I agree about getting new blood and creative, but I don't think gender and race is the reason for the WWE issues. Is it the reason? No. Is it a factor? Yes, I do. I genuinely think that's a part. Here's another thing. I'm not saying on your writing team, if you only have old white men, that's a problem. I feel like that was the writing team for most of 2023, 2024 when creative WWE was at its peak. So I'm not just saying because, they're all white, like that's the issue. I'm not saying you do need variety in there. That's not the main problem. It is a factor and something they could improve upon, in my opinion. But here's another issue. It's been the same people for so long, so they're recycling a lot of the same ideas. If you watch Raw today or SmackDown today, it really is a lot of the same shit they've been doing for a few years now, but like with different people involved. Like the fact the MFTs, I like the MFTs, but they're booking them like the Bloodline Light, it doesn't fucking work. You got to move on from the Bloodline shit. And now there's a chance they could reunite the Bloodline again with Roman and the Usos. Like, how many times are we going to do this dance? We got to move on at some point. Or they drag shit out for 9 months. It's a lot of the same stuff, which is why they need newer faces on that team and variety. What did I think of the Boys trailer? I don't know if I watched it from start to finish, but from what I did see, it looks cool. And I'm looking forward to the new season in a few weeks. Okay, so Jackson Drake did vacate his championship because he's on NXT now? That's dumb. I mean, that's fine if he's like, I don't know, just have him get beat for it. I don't watch Evolve, so I don't really care. Oh, the answer is, okay, next week if he wins, he vacates. Okay, well, I think he's probably going to lose then. He'll probably lose. If Kendall Gray already vacated, they'll probably have Jackson Drake. They'll probably have him lose. They can't do both. Fernando said, what are your thoughts on so many wrestlers kicking out of finishers these days? I mean, that's been an issue for like 15 years in all of these companies. Happens too often. Devalues the finishers. It happens more in AEW than WWE, but we see a lot of it in WWE too. Like in AEW, you see it on fucking weekly television. At least in WWE, it just is mostly relegated to pay-per-view, but it's still bullshit. It happens way more than it should. What's my grade for Dynamite? I liked last night's Dynamite. I would probably go B. I think I liked it more than most. I enjoyed the show. I thought Willow Nightingale and Persephone was a really good match. You did say Fletcher and Bayley was fire last night. It was a great match. It was another really good match. I liked their first match more. I did not like that dumb finish. But overall, it was a great match. And the six-man was good. The show closing brawl was good. The press conference didn't really work. But yeah, I'd probably go B. I enjoyed the show last night. I think Dynamite's been really good for the better part of the past few months, really. Especially lately heading into Revolution. The Revolution build has been really good. Richie said, facts, OBS pisses me off sometimes. Great program. It has its flaws from time to time. I agree. I think because I installed, I got a free trial of some anti-security virus thing or whatever, it refreshes some of my programs, so I think it disables my camera. Or my camera will sometimes work, but I'll come on here, not live, I'll turn on the program and then it'll be blurry and I have to reset my laptop, restart it, and then it works again. It's the weirdest thing. It wasn't doing that before I got this new program, but the free trial is over in a few days, so hopefully I don't have to deal with that for much longer. He said, bless you, Cream. Yeah, that is indeed my nickname. Fernando said, do you like the Birthright faction on NXT? It's fine. I know David Finlay probably would have ended up in it, which would have made it better. Currently, it feels like bootleg Legacy in that they just don't feel like an important faction. I like everyone in the group. I think Alexis King is talented. I like Uriah Connors. Channing Lorenzo, I don't give a fuck about at all. I know he's only in there because Ariana Grace is the daughter of Santino. Okay, but the fact that she's married to Lorenzo, that's the only reason why he's in there. He's a fucking goof. So, other than him, I like the group. I don't know how far they'll go, though. It feels like very much a mid-card faction in NXT. A big, it feels like just the second coming of No Quarter Catch. Like they have a certain limit, certain ceiling on that show. But I do like the group. It's worth the shot. Colt Cabana should be the special enforcer for Roman versus Punk at Mania. Hey, they mentioned him enough. Why not? Eric said, y'all remember when Austin Theory's babyface turn took way too long? They never turned a babyface. They teased it and never did it. They did it. They teased it for like fucking 3 years, 2-3 years, and never did it. I think he could still work as a babyface. I know that sounds ridiculous at this point, but I still do think Theory, especially with that song that he has, could work as a babyface. They just will not do it. They will not go in that direction. Thoughts on Ciampa's heel turn? I liked it. I know it was a nod to the Gargano betrayal from 2017 to take over, what was that, Chicago, the first one in 2017? Anyway. Yeah, I like the turn. I think he's a better heel. They are absolutely rushing everything with Ciampa. He legit debuted, won the TNT title days later, lost the TNT title like less than 2 weeks later, and has already turned heel. It's like they're on fast forward with his AEW run. I don't know why they're rushing everything, but the heel turn itself I thought was well done. What bloodline inning are we in again? Magic Plumaire said, hopefully the game is over. I think it is over. If you asked Paul Heyman, I mean, the bloodline literally does not even exist at this point, because when Roman beat Solo, he took his right away to call his group the bloodline. And there is no, like, he doesn't consistently align with the Usos enough for that to be considered a faction. So I think the bloodline game is over, hopefully. I think the inning is bottom of the ninth, and hopefully they're not going extra innings, because that game got old a long time ago. Babes of Wrath should lose the tag belt to Revolution. I'll get to that. Tony versus Marina can be the match of the night. I'm going to go off on a limb and say no. You should have been invited to the little press conference they did at the end of Dynamite. I should have been, but I don't know if I would have flown all the way out to California to do it. I do know people that were in that room, though. I'm not going to Revolution. If I was in the area, maybe I would have been able to get in. But I'm not in the area, so I couldn't go. Whose son is Stax? Nobody's. He's the son-in-law of Santino. He is not a second-generation wrestler, which is why it's stupid that he's even in the group. Yeah, there you go. I answered that. Who's Chris Hero? Who is Chris Hero? That's Cassius Ohno, the former how do you know? Chris Hero is the former tag team partner of Claudio Castagnoli, Kings of Wrestling. He was in WWE and NXT for 2 different runs as Cassius Ohno over a decade ago, and then he came back in 2017. He was on NXT UK for a little while, got released in 2020, and he's been working behind the scenes in AEW now for a few years. They're called Birthright, yet none of them use their famous parents' names. You're right, they don't. Richie said, thoughts on Lexis King? Do you think he's hit his glass ceiling already in WWE, or do you believe he has more to offer, but he hasn't had the chance to do so? That's a great question. I like Lexis King. I feel like he's hit his ceiling. I hate to say that, but I feel like he's been slotted. Well, a couple things here. He's been slotted as a loser for so long, like an enhancement guy. He always loses every feud he's in. He'll pick up the occasional win on television, but he'll never win when it matters most. He hasn't held any. Actually, no, he was the Heritage Cup champion, I think, for like a month maybe, but that title never meant shit. Beyond that, he's never really won any gold in WWE. I thought he had a much higher ceiling when they first signed him. I think he's still a good, competent wrestler. And as far as could he be higher up on the totem pole with a better push, or if he had more of a chance to showcase what he could do, I don't think so. He's definitely not a world champion. My argument was always that AEW could be doing more with him, which I agree. I feel like they could have done more with Brian Pillman in AEW, especially after that dark side of the ring on his father. He got a mini push for a feud against MJF, which was great, and they did nothing with him after the fact. They relegated him to that tag team with Griff Garrison, the Varsity Blondes, who were a good team. But I thought he had a higher ceiling on his own, and he's gotten those chances in NXT, and he's not, like, spectacular, really. I mean, I think he's a good character, but in the ring, he's average. On the mic, he's average. I think he could be a mid-card guy, but like I said, he's been like the fucking Kurt Hawkins of NXT for so long. I don't think they'll ever push him in that way. Now, if he's the leader of this faction, it was probably supposed to be David Finlay, but now he's not there. So it could end up being Lexis King. Maybe they give him a push out of that, but do I see Lexis King as the next NXT champion, let alone a bigger star of the main roster? At this point, I don't. I think it's been long enough. He's been there for like 2.5 years. If he was ever going to be elevated, I feel like it would have been by now. It would have happened by now. Good question, though. RJ said, do you think Ren wins the speed title? Another good question. I do think she does. I know you're happy that I said that because I know you're a big Ren fan, as am I. I think Ren's very good. Fallon, I like. Fallon has no reason to hold that speed championship. The speed title is fucking garbage anyway. But I would put the title on Ren. I think she's a great underdog character. She's really clicked as a character. She's a better character than a wrestler. And Kendall Gray is a better wrestler than a character. So they complement each other well. I'm going to go out on a limb, though. And they're also in her home state. I don't even know if she's from San Antonio or just Texas. But, I mean, there's every reason to have her beat Fallon Henley for that title next Tuesday. So, yeah, I would do the title change. Fernando said, I don't want this to happen, but how surprised would you be if Road Dogg signed with AEW? I would be very surprised, because if they did not sign him the first time, why would they sign him now? You know, I mean, I know there's that famous quote of him begging for a job all those years ago. He had a fucking podcast he was doing, and then he went back to WWE. I feel like if they wanted to sign him, also, what would he even do there? Like, any experience he's had in WWE is he was in charge of live events at one point. They already have someone doing that in AEW, probably doing it better than he would. They definitely don't need him on creative. They have enough producers, I would think. They really gain nothing. They would only hire him as a favor to like Billy Gunn. That's really about it. Imagine, I wouldn't be shocked, but I would be slightly surprised, because I feel like why wouldn't he have gone there the last time when he left WWE years ago the first time. What are your thoughts on the Cards of Knights ceiling? Cards of the Knights. Talking about LA Knight? What is the joke there? You gotta enlighten me. I don't know what you're talking about. Is it true Chris Hero was supposed to be in the Shield originally? Yes, he was. Oh, is that why you asked? Because people have said, because they talked about how on Raw, they didn't mention Chris Hero, but they said Roman was not supposed to be in the Shield, which is true. Punk wanted Chris Hero, Rollins, and Ambrose. And honestly, I think the move to put Roman in there actually made more sense. Roman fit the mold as far as like the heavy of the group more than Chris Hero would have. If Chris Hero was in there, it would have been 3 fucking indie guys. But I think Rollins was more of the worker. Reigns was the heavy. Ambrose was the talker. It worked perfectly. I mean, the chemistry was off the charts. So it is true. That has been confirmed, and I think they made the right choice by not putting him in the group. And Daniel said, yes, that was true. Punk wanted him, but Triple H chose Roman instead. Also, thoughts on Bald Morrison from Psycho. He looks great. Morrison is a rare case of someone who looks as good with hair as he does without hair. He looks better with hair, in my opinion. He looks a lot older without hair, but he still rocks the fucking look. And I also saw what he said about being underutilized in AEW, which is true. But at this point, Morrison is how old? I mean, what are they going to do with the guy? I do think that they should be doing more with him. But, like, it's John Morrison in 2026. They already have this stacked roster. The fuck are they going to do with John Morrison on any real meaningful level in 2026? Nathaniel said, does the speed title get defended on Raw or SmackDown? It doesn't. They kicked it off of the show that was on X for a little while. That got canceled, so they just moved the titles to NXT instead. Eric asked, do I think Tatum is in line for a call-up? I do. Eventually, yes. I think you got to call up Sol Ruka first. Tatum, I mean, she's so entertaining. She's one of the best parts of NXT right now. I would call up Jada Parker. I would call up Blake Monroe. I would call up even Kalani Jordan before I would call up Tatum. Not because Tatum's not ready, but because they've been there for I mean, especially Sol Ruka. What the fuck are we doing? She's got to get called up. JC Jane, I don't really give a shit about, but Tatum, yes, just not right now. New Age Outlaws versus Cope and Christian one more time at All In. Fernando, that match has got to be sponsored by AAA. God, that would be awful. I also hate the speed title. I agree with that. Eric said, was it Batista who was not supposed to be in Evolution? Correct. It was supposed to be Mark Jindrak. Remember that guy? I remember him from his appearances on, I think he was in SmackDown vs. Raw 06. I used him in GM mode in that game. I mean, I remember him from television. I wasn't watching back then, but I know who he is, but I just remember him most from being in SVR 07, or 06, actually. But yeah, they filmed that vignette. It's on Triple H's DVD from like 2013. They filmed that vignette and it exists, the footage exists, of Triple H, Flair, Orton, and Jindrak walking down the road. And they were like, that doesn't work. Take him out. Batista was a much better fit, and they made the right choice. Did you like Miz and Morrison's Dirt Sheet? I did. Loved the show. When it was an internet show, it was especially entertaining. When they did it again in 2020, it didn't work as well. It was like dumb WWE Vince comedy. I'm glad they brought it back, but it was better during its original run in the late 2000s. Nathaniel said, I thought Roman, Seth, and Dean were brothers. Actual brothers? No, they're not. Fernando said, should Sol Ruka beat JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship very soon? Yes, she should have already won the title. I mean, Sol Ruka, the problem with her winning the NXT Women's title with Sol is that she should already be on the main fucking roster. So if she wins the title, does that push back her call up? She beat Bayley a few months ago. How do you beat Bayley, who was not like Becky, I get it, but Bayley's still a notable name. She beat Bayley, and then they're just moving on. I mean, that's just stupid to me. I don't think Sol's winning the title. I think Sol will lose on Tuesday. She will face Zarya at Stand and Deliver and then get called up. She will very likely get called up without winning the championship. She's got to get called up like now, probably right after Mania. Psycho said, it was always supposed to be Batista, but when he got hurt, they considered Jindrak, but Hunter hated him. Okay, there you go. All right, well, I don't know if I didn't know that. I just don't remember. So I got my wires crossed. They always wanted Batista, but he got hurt, as did Orton, and they put Jindrak in there. And Hunter didn't like it. And I think that was probably for the best because Jindrak was gone from the company soon after. Are they setting up heel Lyra? I don't think so. And honestly, if they do, would Lyra even really work as a heel? And maybe she would surprise me, but I mean, heel Bayley was the one that was doing the personality disorder. What the fuck ever happened to that? They were teasing it subtly for a while, and then they just moved away from it. And I don't think we've seen it at all in weeks. Would it not make more sense for Bayley to turn on Lyra than the other way around? You know, they could be. They might be setting up heel Lyra, but I would not do that personally. I feel like Bayley going heel would make more sense. All right, so what we're going to do now is Revolution predictions. I will leave the chat up for this because I want to get your guys' thoughts on this card coming up on Sunday night. Are we getting interviews from you soon? Yeah, there could be some interviews coming up here on the channel very soon, so keep an eye out for that. I will not reveal what's being uploaded specifically, but keep an eye out for some new content coming up here on the channel momentarily. And if you do see any videos or interviews pop up here on the channel, be sure to give them a like. Drop a comment. The support is always appreciated, and it always helps the videos. And if you like the videos and whatnot, the interviews, then always opens up the possibility to do more. I thought Bayley would turn heel. Me too. Psycho said, would you ever turn down an interview? I have turned down many interviews. Whether it didn't work for me or didn't work for Bleacher or didn't work for whoever I was writing for, I'll give you a little fun fact here. I turned down interviews. The most prominent people I turned down interviews from, or sometimes it was a scheduling thing, it didn't work or whatever. I had to turn down an interview from a Celtics player a couple weeks ago, Derek White, right? Isn't he on the Celtics? I almost got the chance to interview Derek White recently. That didn't work out. I had to turn down an interview from Juju from the Chiefs. I think he's got like a fashion line or something they wanted to promote. That didn't work out well as far as like timing wise, so we couldn't do it. I couldn't do the interview. I had to turn down interviews years ago, I understand why, because especially back then they were especially toxic. But I had the chance to interview Ric Flair for his documentary, and that was the one they did on Peacock. And he was so like he never really held himself accountable for the whole plane ride from hell thing, and it was just more of a headache to do the interview than not to do it. So we turned it down. Almost got the chance to interview Ric Flair. I was actually offered the opportunity to interview Hulk Hogan 5 years ago. They were doing old school Raw, and they offered me Hulk, and my editor was like, and as me personally, I'm like, to get the chance to interview Hulk would be huge because he's such a huge name. But at the same time, it's like, well, he was never, again, same thing. He never really held himself accountable for all, like a lot of the racist shit he's been involved in and been accused of and guilty of and whatnot. And especially this was right after all the Black Lives Matter stuff. It was like that it did not make sense. Because here's the problem. When you interview someone like a Flair or especially a Hulk, as big of a name as they might be, and a lot of people don't care. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll accept it. I don't have any integrity. The problem with interviewing someone like that is, and I said this to the WWE PR person, this is what my editor and I agreed on. Unless Hulk will talk about that stuff, I would have to ask him about it. I would have to ask him, like, not like, oh, do you feel sorry? Maybe not that word for word, but like I would have to ask him about what he's done to help the Black community. I mean, this was like literally right in the midst of it or right after Black Lives Matter, like when it first kind of happened in 2020, early 2021. He would have to talk about it. He would have to talk about it. I would have to ask him about it. It would be disingenuous not to. I don't know if I consider myself a journalist necessarily, but like it would be fucking dumb to not ask him about that stuff in the midst of all of that shit going on. And they didn't say no. They were just like, all right, yeah, no worries. I literally said in the text to the PR guy, I said, we can do it, but he would have to talk about this. And I'm just going to assume that he's not. So if he's not, then we can't do it. I'm sorry. And he said, yeah, no worries. He didn't say that was really about it. And I'm like, okay, so we're not doing it. Because he also probably knows that Hulk's not going to want to talk about it or he's not going to answer it. So we didn't. I mean, there are so many more. There are so many more opportunities, especially for people outside of wrestling. I was invited to a red carpet a few months ago for something that fucking Tom Brady was at, and I couldn't go. But it was in New York or something. I don't even know what it was for, a doc or something. I don't know if I would have even had the chance to talk to Tom Brady. But yeah, that almost happened. The stories I could share with you guys. I mean, we can maybe we could save that for another time. But yeah, there's so many stories I could share. Maybe one day if I write a book or something, we could put those in there. But those are just a few. I don't know if I've ever shared that. Yeah, Richie, you'd be surprised. There are so many people. And you know, not to shame anyone, I just personally disagree with some choices made, but there are some people who do not have any fucking integrity. And if you watch any of these interviews that that Hogan does or Flair does, I mean, Hogan's dead, but that Hogan did or Flair does now, none of these people ask him about this shit. And you kind of have to. Even if it's a shitty answer they give, you still have to fucking ask them. And they just don't care. I don't know if they were told ahead of time to not ask about it. That's a lot of PR people are like, hey, don't ask about this. And sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. And in that case, I'm like, well, I can't not ask about it. And it makes me look bad. So I'm not going to do it. Yes, that is crazy. I almost interviewed Derek White, Ric Flair, and Hogan. Again, there's so many more I don't even remember. I had a chance recently to interview Solo Ball from the Yukon Huskies going into March Madness. I had a chance to go cover one of their games or their practice or something like that and interview Solo Ball. That was literally like a month ago, and it just didn't really work out. I would love to. I would have loved to have done, but it just didn't work out with Bleacher schedule. Like we couldn't run the interview or something. What else? I got an invitation recently to cover the fucking Masters in Atlanta. Olympic coverage. Jack Hughes I talked to, who won the gold medal for men's hockey. I was able to do. And he was great, and that was a good interview, and I was really proud of how that came out. The two people who had won or got silver, Team Coco for the curling team in the Olympics. I think they were called Team Coco. I didn't follow the Olympics too closely, but I think it was the men's and women's curling or whatever. I almost had the chance to talk to them. That didn't work out. It didn't work out as far as like it just wouldn't have worked out timing wise. But yeah, I'll just say yes. Yeah, you would be surprised if I said yes to everything. It would, first of all, I'd have no time, but second of all, yeah, a lot of these just wouldn't have worked. They just didn't work out. So maybe someday I'll put together a comprehensive list of everyone I've talked to. Nathaniel mentioned Tom Brady versus Logan Paul. Logan Paul actually was someone that I talked to. This was years ago, though, before. He's even more, obviously, way more controversial now. I talked to Logan Paul before. I'll tell you another fun fact here. Mr. Marceau, I don't know if he's still here or not. And we'll get to the Revolutions. Predictions in a second, but I do want to mention this. I talked to Logan Paul when he had his first singles match in WWE at SummerSlam 2022. And he was cool as shit with me. I'm not saying I'm Logan Paul's biggest fan. He was cool with me. That doesn't mean he's a great person. I'm just saying my experience with him was a positive one. Myself and Mr. Marceau, he was also there. Not only did we get to interview him, but we were in his locker room before his match with The Miz. Now, not on SummerSlam Day. We talked to him the day before. And this was very early on in his run when he was practicing his matches. So we had the opportunity. It was only me and RJ and then someone from ESPN at the time that had the chance to interview Logan while he was in his locker room and walking from his locker room to the ring, not in the arena, but backstage. And I mean, we were told not to talk about it at the time. That was 4 years ago. At this point, it doesn't matter, but there's no what is it called? Embargo on it now. It's been 4 years. It doesn't matter, but and we couldn't take pictures or anything, obviously, but we watched him work the match with The Miz in like a warehouse part of the Nashville Stadium and go through the entire match. Gregory Helms was there, helping produce it. Triple H wasn't there. I forgot who else was there, but it was Helms. Maurice was there, I believe, or Mrs. Handler was there. I think Maurice was there. I don't remember. And we even saw the finish. We saw Logan beat Miz. We're like, oh fuck, we know. I mean, we kind of figured Logan would beat Miz, obviously, but it was crazy. It was a really wild experience. And they gave us free Prime bottles to drink. I don't know if I tried it, but RJ definitely did, and he enjoyed it. That was crazy. Richie said, people just do it for the clout, clicks, views, and likes. That is very true. They definitely do. Fernando said, was I ever invited to Super Bowl Media Weekend? No. I've been asked about, like, interview opportunities if I was at the Super Bowl by PR companies. That I've never been to the No, I've not been invited to Super Bowl Media Row or Radio Row or whatever it's called. I have not been. I probably should be because they have wrestlers there, so it would make sense for me to go. But if the games are in like fucking California, I'm not going. But if it's like nearby or in New York or something, that would have been cool. Grunt said saw someone say the Blackjack Battle Royal will bleed into the pay-per-view, which I could see happening. I could see that. They've been doing that with the last few shows. They did that with World's End and Full Gear, or they did that with Full Gear and Wrestle Dream. I don't know if they did it with World's End. They may have. I don't remember. But yeah, no, I could see that happening. So on that note, let's get into AEW Revolution predictions. Enough about my my interview chances of people I could have talked to and did not for various reasons. Maybe we could do a separate podcast on that another time for those of you that are interested in that sort of thing and want to hear more of more names that lead that list that I can't remember off the top of my head. But let's get into it now. Revolution predictions for this coming weekend. I'll leave the chat up here on the side for those of you that want to contribute predictions for the pay-per-view coming up on Sunday. But I said earlier, Grunt, I don't know if you were here or not, but I'll say it again. The build for this show has been really good. I think Dynamite, by and large, for the last month specifically, has been great. I thought last night's show was good. This card looks awesome. This looks like a really, really good card on pay-per-view. And it's interesting. I honestly think Revolution, maybe it's because it's not considered their biggest pay-per-view, is becoming their consistently best pay-per-view. It's been around a lot longer than All In. But like, Revolution 2020 is still one of the best shows they've ever done. Revolution 2021 was a good show. Revolution 2022, I bought that show I bought tickets to it at the fucking movie theater. I could watch these shows for free because for a while they aired on Bleacher Report. I could still watch them for free now. But I went to a movie theater to watch it. That was an excellent show. Revolution 2023 was very good. Revolution 2024 was an excellent show. Revolution last year was a really good show up until the terrible main event. So I think this year will definitely beat last year. The undercard for last year was awesome, but they shit the bed of that main event. This year could be a lot better if they finish out strong with that main event. Really, really good television as of late. And Grunt agrees. Revolution is my favorite of the OG4 pay-per-views. I would say so too. It's kind of surpassed Double or Nothing. All Out can be a sneaky good show. And Full Gear is kind of like the Survivor Series of the AEW pay-per-views. But Revolution has had a very strong track record, really almost since the beginning. And I am looking forward to the show this weekend. So let's get into it. I'll start with the pre-show. This is as, by the way, of Thursday, March 12th at around 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay? So there is the possibility they add more matches. I am expecting to add more matches. This is just as of right now. And the current card that I'm looking at until they inevitably add more matches to like the pre-show. But they announced on Dynamite last night, Willow Nightingale will defend the TBS Championship. She just beat Persephone on Dynamite. I actually was looking forward more to that match than I am this one, but this should still be a good match. Willow Nightingale versus Lena Cross, who just debuted at Grand Slam Australia. I think it would be a mistake to take the belt off of Nightingale at this point. She only won it like a little over 2 months ago on the last Dynamite of the year, New Year's Eve. She hasn't really done a lot as champion because her focus has more so been split between that and the tag titles. We'll get to the tag titles later, but I do think she should retain here. She should not lose it on the pre-show and not to Lana Cross. 0 hour pre-show as well. I agree with Grunt. I could see this bleeding into the main card. Ricochet defending the national championship in a 21-man blackjack battle royal. I don't know why we're still getting Ricochet and Jack Perry. I mean, that feud ran its course a while ago. I don't know why they're still feuding, but I'm glad we're not getting it again on pay-per-view. It probably would have made more sense to do that on pay-per-view, but this sounds more interesting. I know we got Ciampa in the match. Mark Briscoe, I'm sure, is going to be in the match because he's feuding with Ciampa as of last weekend, so I'm sure they'll both be in the match. They have not announced anyone else. I've heard rumors of Big Boom AJ being in the match. I know he confirmed he'll be on the card. That's not surprising. I'm sure he'll be in the match. He's not going to fucking win. I have Ricochet retaining. I know Orange Cassidy, the last time they did one of these matches for the international title, intercontinental title, whatever the fucking title was, he had retained successfully. I think Ricochet also retains. He's been champion now for a few months. He won it at Full Gear, right? When I was there back in November. He's done some good stuff with, you said Kevin Knight wins Fernando. That's interesting. I would love to see Kevin Knight see him win the title. I don't know if he's in it. Did they confirm that? Kevin Knight's been losing a little bit lately. I would love to see him win here. I don't think he will. I'm going to go Ricochet retains, but Kevin Knight winning I would be happy with. On to the main card of the matches that are advertised for the main card. Jon Moxley and Konosuke Takeshita for the Continental Championship. No time limit. They had a great match at Grand Slam Australia that went the full time limit. This will have no time limit. I got Takeshita winning. And I think the end game here, they really should have done Takeshita and Okada on the show and just moved on. But they really want to drag out Takeshita and Okada. Okay. So I guess what's going to happen is Takeshita wins the Continental title. Okada holds on to the International title until All In. And I say All In because that's probably where they'll do it. That's in like 4 or 5 months, but okay, whatever. And they'll do another unification match for both belts. As they did on that show a year ago, they'll do it again this time. And Takeshita will beat Okada. So if that's the case, Moxley, listen, he's been a good champion. As a character, he's just not fucking interesting. His matches are fine. The Death Riders are just garbage. I'm sorry. It's better, and I've said this before, they're better now than they were a year ago. But, like, he's a babyface, and the rest of the group are heels. It's weird. It's weird. I would just take the belt off of him. He's just not interesting at the moment. He would have been if he broke off on his own as a babyface, but he didn't. So I'm going Takeshita. Takeshita has got to win the championship here and then go on to beat Okada at All In. Fernando thinks that Moxley will win and gets kicked out of the Don Callis family. You're saying Takeshita will get kicked out of the Don Callis family. I think Takeshita should be the one. I think if anyone, Moxley should be turned on by the Death Riders. And I think Takeshita should leave the Don Callis family. That's what I would do. Takeshita as well, Fernando says. He's got Takeshita as far as being kicked out of the Don Callis family. 6-man tag team action. They also made this match official last night. Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, and Roderick Strong, who returned on Dynamite, realigning with Cassidy. Okay, that kind of made no sense because they were teasing a heel turn. He walked out on Cassidy, and now I guess he had a change of heart, and now he's going to be friends with him. If he turns again here, like, the fuck is the point? And I don't want to see him join the Dogs. By the way, the Dogs is a terrible name. I know they can't call them the War Dogs. That's probably licensed by New Japan, but just the Dogs is dumb. It's a very stupid name. But it does consist of David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, and Clark Connors. I like the group, and they got to win here. I know they won on Wednesday. They got to win again. I don't think Allen, Cassidy, and Strong benefit at all from winning this match. The Dogs have got to win. You got to establish them as a dominant force. David Finlay just debuted. Give them the win. I could see the baby faces winning. This feud really hasn't done a ton for me. It's just kind of there. I would have the Dogs win, though. Grunt said, at least you can have Takeshita leave the Don Callis family soon and have him run through the family to kill time until All In. I agree with that. I like that. I would maybe have him I would have him leave the Don Callis family and not get betrayed by the Don Callis family, if that makes sense. But you should still do that soon. I agree with that. You don't have to wait until All In to do that. They already did Takeshita and Okada one-on-one when they were both in the group. When they face off again, Takeshita does not need to be in the group. Next match, Don Callis family. That would consist of Okada, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis defending the AEW World Trios Championships against Mystico and Jet Speed. I don't think they're putting a fucking title on Mystico, who's not under contract full-time to AEW. Don Callis family just won the titles. They do not need the titles. 2 of the 3 members of that trio are already champions. It's kind of a waste. They really should have had Mark Davis win it with like fucking Lance Archer and Josh Alexander or something. Why does it have to be that 3 specifically? Anyway, I think Don Callis family retain. Grunt asked thoughts on the idea of Tony burying the rights to the Bullet Club name from New Japan. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Just saying, I know nothing about wrestling. If you ever thought AEW was good, you're probably, they threw in a word I'm not going to repeat. Good day. But thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. They only sub for a minute just to say that. So, hey, listen, we got the sub for just 1 minute, and we got the $5 super chat. So that's totally fine with me. And I mean, we have such an AEW hater that they hate AEW that much. They sent in $5 to say that. So, thank you. Appreciate the $5. But anyway, Grunt said, thoughts on the idea of Tony burying the rights to the Bullet Club name from New Japan. Or buying the rights. I thought he said burying. I'd be fine with that. I mean, Bullet Club has such a legacy. But the thing is that Bullet Club, like, they formally disbanded the name in the group like a few months ago. So I would not go back to it. I would just bury it and move on. He should have already bought the rights a while ago. There's no real reason to continue it, is my point. Like, especially if they already formally disbanded, just come up with a different name or go back to it down the road. The Bullet Club has been dead now for so long. There's no real reason to just reignite it, at least at this point in time. I would definitely go back to it, maybe further down the road, but not right now. Not a bad question, though. He also said, I agree. I do also agree, Richie, what a loser. I agree, though, if you were going to put any title on outside talent, the Trios title would be it. That's true, and Mystico's great. Mystico's fantastic. I just don't think they're going to win the belt so soon after Don Callis family won them, but again, I wouldn't complain. I would just like the trio titles on an actual trio. Like, put the Trios titles on the Dogs. Like, they're an actual trio, not Mystico and Jet Speed. I don't even really think it was necessary to put the titles on Paige and Jet Speed, because they weren't really much of a trio anyway. That was an impromptu thing. Richie said, like if you want to like, I generally don't understand how someone enjoying something is such a personal issue for some people. Please go outside and touch some grass, get a life. Well, like I said, they sent in $5, so I mean, there is that. I mean, obviously you got to be professional or respectful. But if they sent in $5, then I mean, who gives a shit? I'll whore out for the money. If they're gonna say something dumb, okay, whatever. I may not necessarily agree, but whatever. That's their loss. They just wasted $5 on that. On us talking about AEW, which is funny. We never talk about AEW here on the show. Anyway, Babes of Wrath versus Megan Bayne and Lana Cross for the AEW World's Women's Tag Team titles. I got Babes of Wrath losing here, actually. If Willow Nightingale retains on the pre-show, then Bayne and Cross have got to take the tag titles. I mean, you can't have Willow win twice. And also, Willow Nightingale should, and I love Willow, but she should not be a dual champion. She has not put in enough focus on that TBS championship. They got to have her lose here. So I would have Bayne and Cross take the tag titles. It probably would have been Bayne and Penelope Ford had she not gotten hurt, which sucks. But I'm going to go Bayne and Lana Cross for the women's tag team titles. Tony Storm and Marina Shafir, I know they've been feuding for months now. It's not a feud that really does much for me personally. I don't really care about this match. I know the stipulation is that everyone is barred from ringside. Okay. Is it a no DQ match? Is it a street fight? Is that the only stip? I don't know. This feels like a Dynamite match to me, but hey, they got multiple women's matches on the same show. They have 4 women's matches on the same show. The TBS title match, the tag title match, this match, and the women's world title match. And that includes the pre-show, but better than nothing. So it's nice they're on the show. I got Tony winning. I would not have Marina beat Tony. Andrade, El Idolo, and Bandito. This is the match I look forward to more than any other match in the card. I got Andrade winning here. Bandito is fantastic. He's the current Ring of Honor champion. Maybe, hey, Andrade beating Bandito leads to Andrade challenging for the Ring of Honor championship. If it's for the Ring of Honor title, I would probably still see Andrade winning, but I think Andrade wins here. He's been positioned towards the main event for a while now, that it would be weird if he lost. Bandito already got a shot at the world title and lost. He's great. Bandito's phenomenal. But I think Andrade, though, will win here and continue his ascent towards the AEW World Championship. Maybe even challenging for the title in Mexico if they're back in Mexico at some point down the road. Grunt said, so we do think the Super Chatter is a stand-up for WWE guy or a Cornette diehard? I would guess, Grunt, that it's a stand-up for WWE guy. So, for example, Mr. Marceau is he loves Cornette's content. I enjoy a lot of Cornette's content, too. But there are people who listen to Cornette that watch AEW that just want to see it get better. There are people that are just, I think it's more of an anti-AEW, pro-WWE thing, if I had to guess. Because there's a lot of people that just suck the teat of TKO and WWE and Triple H that will never acknowledge any of their faults, that will not acknowledge how bad the show can be at times. And AEW can be bad too. But you gotta call a spade and call it right down the middle, even if you enjoy one more than the other. So I'm going to say more of a WWE guy than anything. And I enjoy WWE, but to say that sort of shit is just stupid. But I got Andrade beating Bandito. Brody King versus Swerve Strickland. I have Swerve winning. Brody, again, like I said, already got a shot at the title. Swerve has not. I could see Swerve maybe getting the shot at Dynasty or at Double or Nothing. Brody King winning would be cool. I think he's from the LA area, but I got Swerve going over here. He has more to gain, I would say, as he just turned heel. I would not have him lose at this point. Maybe you have him get DQ'd, but AEW doesn't do that sort of shit on pay-per-view. I wouldn't do it either, personally. But, yeah, I would have Swerve Strickland beat Brody King. Tekla versus Chris Statlander in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the AEW Women's World Championship. That I would have Tekla win. Tekla should retain the title. Chris Statlander just lost it. No reason for her to get it back. Tekla has such a presence about her. I think she's really, really good. She is someone I knew nothing of before she came to AEW, and they kind of got her off on the wrong foot with how her debut came across. It was not well produced at all. But she's been on a roll in recent months, having really good matches. I enjoy her promos a lot. She just has such a captivating presence about her. I would keep the belt on her. I think she will. I could see Statlander maybe going heel again, just based on how they've had her acting lately. They had to figure out what her character is supposed to be. I'm still confused as to what Statlander, who, and what she's supposed to be. But I would have Tekla retain, and I think she will. Grunt said, speaking of corny, Kenny Omega helping Brody win? That wouldn't be bad, but I think if Kenny Omega was around, he would have been on the show. I think Kenny Omega can't make it because he has a prior commitment, so I don't think Kenny Omega helps Brody win, unless it's like a pre-taped video or some shit. And that would be kind of lame on pay-per-view. Grunt said, speaking of corny, did you catch his quote saying Austin Theory will be a bigger star than Kyle Fletcher in 5 years, and that Fletcher will be a bigger star if he jumped over to WWE? You know, honestly, of all the quotes that I've heard Cornette say, I don't think that's that egregious. Now, do I agree with that? No. I think WWE has flopped with Theory overall, Vince and Triple H, but specifically Triple H, in that he could have been a bigger star by now. Now, could Theory leave and come back a bigger star? Absolutely. Kyle Fletcher's already great, but I also think if you're a big star in WWE, just by sheer size of audience, you will automatically be a bigger star in WWE than in AEW, for that reason alone. But that would constitute them having to push Theory at a certain level, which I'm not sure I'm convinced is going to happen. Grunt said, apparently Kyle needs to get some learning in him. That's what he said. I mean, I don't agree with that. Fletcher can be successful in AEW. He can never go to WWE and still do well. Fletcher is not one of those guys they've messed up. There's a lot of guys AEW has dropped the ball on. Fletcher so far is not one of them. So I do disagree with that, but I'm just saying of all the things Cornette has said, that's his opinion. He's entitled to it. I don't necessarily agree, but I don't really think that one's that egregious. There is a chance Theory could end up being a bigger star if WWE gets him right. Fletcher, they could end up dropping the ball on him. Maybe he has to go to WWE because they feel like they've marginalized him in AEW. It's just too soon to say. Last 2 matches here, FTR versus the Young Bucks in a regular match. No stip here. Grunt has said previously he wishes there was a stip for this. I agree. There's not, though. But anyway, FTR and the Bucks straight up for the AEW World Tag Team titles. This one is actually tough. I'm gonna say FTR retains here, but I think there's a bigger chance now than there was a couple of weeks ago of the Bucks becoming champs. And here's why. I've said FTR will retain to set up the match with Edge and Christian for them to win the tag titles. I think Tony's not going to want to resist putting the tag titles on Edge and Christian. They can always win those belts from the Bucks. They could just do that instead at All In, which I think is possible at this point. I don't know why Edge and Christian have been gone for so long now. It's kind of ridiculous they've been gone for so long. I know he was filming a movie. It's been like fucking 6 months. How long is this Percy Jackson shit that he's filming? It's so dumb. But anyway, this should be a good match. I really don't care who wins. I mean, the Bucks are better now that they're back to being baby faces and they're not doing the whole heel shtick again. Their last tag team title run, I thought was terrible. They never defended those belts for the most part. I would keep the belts in FTR. I don't think their run has been long enough. But I'm gonna stick with FTR. I'm gonna stick with FTR. I don't think the Bucks need to win here. If they do, it's fine. No complaints. It's okay. But I'm gonna go with FTR. Fernando said, speaking of WWE, disciple Paul Heyman, what else was he going to say? And Cope and Christian helped the Bucks win. Yeah, I could see that. And then maybe Cope and Christian go off the feud with FTR for a little bit longer. They only had one match last year at All Out. And they won that match too. And then maybe after beating FTR, they go on to face the Bucks. I could see that. I could see. I mean, Fernando said they're old. Cut them some slack. They're not. They are older. And Christian, I think, is fine. He may have gotten hurt, and I think he may have had to take time off for an injury thing, I believe, from what I heard somewhere. I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know how long, if he's ready now or how long he's expected to be out. I have no idea. I'd have the FTR win. I think they will win. I would not be shocked if the Bucks won. I feel like that's more like a 50-50. I could see that one going either way. And then the main event, MJF and Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page, and a last chance Texas death match for the AEW World Championship. If Adam Page loses, he can no longer challenge for the World Championship, not only during this run of MJF, but ever. And that's what makes this match more interesting. The Texas death shit, we've seen it so often in AEW, it doesn't really mean as much as it should. The AEW sickos will, lap it up, and that's fine. I think it will be a very good match. I'm just saying that we see the stip so fucking often in this company, it doesn't feel remotely as special as it should. Now, that said, the stipulation alone, whether I think it's dumb or not, with Adam Page never being able to, again, challenge for the title, they can always work around it too. What's stopping them from either going back on it or having Page win like the Owen Hart Cup? And at some point, again, I know we won it last year, and going for the belt again down the road. Nothing's stopping them from doing that. Like, they didn't do that with Cody, but back then they didn't have the Owen Hart Cup. They didn't want to do a workaround. I think now they're more willing to do that. Or, I mean, this is a very, very, very small chance, but what if they're doing the stip because maybe Adam Page leaves AEW at some point? I'm not saying he is, and I don't think he will, but what if when his contract comes up within the next year or so, he actually goes to WWE because he's done all that he can in AEW as far as, like, being the guy. I mean, if he actually never challenges for the championship again, he would have to stay in the fucking mid-card, which is fine, but he's better than that. I'm not saying he's going to WWE. I'm just saying that was a small thought that came into my head when I heard that step. But anyway, I think it would be silly to put the belt back on Page at this point. They could. I mean, people are saying MJF wins, LOL, like there's no chance Page wins with that step. I disagree. I think there's actually a small chance, not small, but like a decent chance Page wins, and then he's the one to face Omega and Swerve and some of these other people at Double or Nothing and Dynasty and maybe even All In, or Ospreay. He beat Ospreay at Double or Nothing last year. Maybe the play, if Ospreay is back soon, which I'd be shocked if he is, but it sounds like he might be, which is great. If he's healthy, do not rush him back if he's not. But what if Ospreay wins the Owen Hart Cup this year and faces Page, not MJF? Because Ospreay and Page is a bigger all-in main event than MJF and Ospreay, which we already saw it all in a few years ago. I'd rather see Ospreay and MJF again. But anyway, I'm still going to go with MJF retaining the title here. I feel like that would make it more interesting. I would not want people to turn on Hangman because he's champion again. And I don't know if the AEW fans are more likely to turn on Hangman just because of more likely to turn on Hangman than WWE fans are turning on Cody now that he's WWE champion again, but you don't want to send the message that Page is overpushed. And I feel like there's some interesting TV to be had there if Page can't challenge for the title and he has to find a workaround, maybe not in the interim, but like long term. For now, he can work with other people outside of the title picture, still be in the main event position, but not challenging for the belt, which is possible, at least for now. At some point, that will get old, but they can work around it eventually. Maybe that takes 2 years. I don't know. Who knows? But those are my predictions for the pay-per-view. I'm really looking forward to Revolution. As I said, I almost said Evolution. Evolution was great too last year, but Revolution should also be great coming up on Sunday. I should be watching live, and I'm looking forward to the show. It looks like a very strong show on pay-per-view. Revolution rarely disappoints. It's typically one of their best shows all year for AEW, and I don't think this year will be any exception. We will wind down and head out here in a moment, but I do want to read the last couple of chats here. Fernando said, Hangman wins, and MJF puts his career on the line for a rematch in a few weeks on Dynamite and gets the AEW World title back. I don't like that. You could do that, but then nothing really changes, you know? Hangman can still go for the belt, and MJF still has his career. You're just playing hot potato with the belt at that point. I wouldn't do that, but, I mean, it's not impossible. Grunt says, Willow, Ricochet, Andrade, Swerve, Takeshita, Bane, and Cross, Tekla, Tony, FTR, and MJF. Those are all of his predictions. I think I said all of the same ones, did I not? I think I agree with all of your predictions, Grunt. Yeah, I actually agree with every one of your predictions. If we're having FTR and MJF win and Tekla, that's a lot of fucking heels. And Swerve and Andrade. We might have to have the Bucks win. I could see the Bucks winning for that alone. That's a lot of heel wins. Or MJF or Adam Page. I'm gonna stick with your picks / my picks, but it's possible they do that though. Alexis is back. She said, hey, I'm back. I tried this sandwich place near my work and it was so good. Graham, we need to try it one of these days. One of these takeout Thursdays. All right, we'll have to put it on the list. Not today though, because guess what? You guys ask us every Tuesday on hashtag what we're seeing for $5 Tuesday. Today's Thursday. We're not seeing anything for $5 today. It's going to be more than $5. But we are planning to see Hoppers tonight, actually. We've had a gift card to a movie theater near us for like the longest time. We might actually use it today. And sushi too, which is right nearby the movie theater. But yeah, we're seeing Hoppers today. So I'll let you know my thoughts the next time we're live here on the channel. And she said ham and cheese with lettuce, tomato, onions, oil, and vinegar. I actually do like ham and cheese. That actually sounds pretty good. Grunt said, I don't think we would turn on Hangman because we know the Ospreay run is coming soon. Would all of us not? I mean, I would not turn on Hangman. You would not turn on Hangman. Would most fans not turn on Hangman? I don't think so, Grunt, but I'm not convinced. I feel like there's a chance the internet might turn on Hangman. I mean, the internet's already kind of turned on Hangman for other reasons. I'm just not entirely convinced that people would not turn on Hangman. The booking for Hangman and Cody is very different. It is very different, but there are still similarities. Just the general principle of he loses it, but gets it right back soon after. And Hangman doesn't need to win. That's the other thing, people. Like, Hangman doesn't need to win. He doesn't need to win the title. People are, it's not like people are clamoring for Hangman to win. They're not. So if he does win, I do kind of worry about, would it be interesting? Like, what happens with MJF at that point? MJF just won it a few months ago. He won it in that 4-way. He's had great matches with Brody King and Bandito. It's too soon to take the belt off of him. I want to see more matches with MJF as champion before Hangman gets it back. Richie was asking Alexis if there's any chips or soda on the side. I'm sure there was. I would put that on the side personally. Nathaniel said he thinks Adam Page wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if MJF wins. There you go. Fernando said, I heard good things about Hoppers, as did I. I heard it was really good, so I'm looking forward to seeing it tonight or we're both looking forward to seeing it tonight. Grunt said, if I had to switch for some babyface wins, I would switch Swerve and Andrade for Brody and Bandito. I don't think both of them win. I would be surprised. I think Andrade beating Bandito is a lock. And Swerve beating Brody feels like it's definitely going to happen. That's more likely, though, to me. Richie said, I've been turned on Hangman and never been a fan, and the stuff with Punk that one time on TV will never sit right with me. Well, there you go. Richie's not a Hangman fan, so he's not going to turn on Hangman because he doesn't have to because he's already not a fan. And he also said, you can never get me over on the Bucks, Hangman, and Darby. I think there's a lot of people also in your position. Not AEW sickos necessarily, but there's a lot of people that would agree with you. And Fernando said, a lot of people believe Hangman last title reign was too short. It was on the shorter side. I agree with that. Listen, I am not telling you I have an issue with Hangman winning. I think it's fine. But you can make the argument that MJF's reign would be too short. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Hangman could win the belt back at some point. He fucking will. Whether he loses or wins here, he will be champion again. I'm convinced. There will be a workaround. He will be champion again. But I don't think he needs to be here. How would I feel about the Bucks versus Cope and Christian at All In? Yeah, I think that's fine. I think there's actually a real decent chance that happens, actually. I feel like that is the all-in match. It's not going to be Cope and Christian versus FTR. By that point, that feud should be over. Fernando asked, my favorite Revolution event and match. Good question. Sting's last match was great. My favorite Revolution show overall might still be the 2022 one, because I watched that in a movie theater. Revolution 2020 is still one of the best shows they've ever done. I wouldn't say that was my favorite Revolution show. Like, they had fucking Dustin Rhodes and Jake Hager on that show. Like, that card at the time was amazing. It pales in comparison to other Revolutions they've done. My favorite Revolution match, though, would either be Sting's last match or Hangman and Omega versus the Bucks from Revolution 2020. That was a phenomenal match and still one of the best they've ever done in that company. So that one, Sting's last match with Darby against the Bucks 2 years ago. Last year, what did last year have? Tony and Mariah was great. It's not my favorite Revolution match, but it was an excellent match. There were a lot of good matches on that show. Certainly not that main event, I'll tell you that much. Revolution 2020 had a really good Danielson and Moxley match. Cole and Page in the main event. William Regal's debut after Moxley and Danielson, which was amazing. Swerve's debut was also on that show 4 years ago. Yeah, a lot of good Revolution memories. Sting's last match was peak. That crowd was going bananas. That's one of those shows I almost wish I was there for. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one, Grunt. MJF and Danielson from Iron Man match from 2023. I don't know if that's my favorite Revolution match. That would be in my top 3, I would say, with the other 2 that I mentioned. That show is very good. I will say this about that match, though. That might... I'm going to take that back. That is the best Iron Man match I've ever seen. That's a phenomenal Iron Man match. I think it's better than any Iron Man match I've ever seen in WWE. And there's a lot of great ones. I think that might be the best Iron Man match I've ever seen in any company. Just my opinion, though. So we will start to wind down here and head on out in a few moments. I completely forgot to mention, too, that AEW has a new streaming service. I talked about it on Tuesday's hashtag, but they do. It's called My AEW. I heard they're streaming the pay-per-views internationally on there, which is cool. Maybe domestically they'll start doing that at some point. I know they have old Dynamite streaming on there for free. You don't have to pay for it, which is cool. Not like, oh, click and watch this show. It's like a channel. Like, you turn on the channel and old Dynamite's going to be on. I don't know how old the content is. I mean, the one that I saw the other day, it was a Dynamite from like October or November 2019, which is crazy. You can watch that anyway with an HBO Max subscription on Max. But it's cool they have their own streaming service. I think it's a great idea. Overdue. Hopefully at some point they do put all their own shit on there and not just on Max. Richie said, "Damn, now I got to check out that Iron Man match. That's high praise." Yeah, maybe just my opinion. Big Boom AJ's match, Grunt. I think he's in the Blackjack Battle Royal. Did they announce a Big Boom AJ match? I think he's in the Blackjack Battle Royal. But yes, Richie, I think you should devote an hour. In my personal opinion, it's definitely better than Shawn and Bret Hart. Triple H and The Rock, I think was the best Iron Man match of all time. This is better than that. Better finish, too. The one from NXT is great. That was my personal favorite with Sasha and Bayley in 2015 with the women. I think MJF and Danielson is better. It's also longer. Big Boom AJ for AEW Champ. Maybe not for AEW Champ, but yeah. I mean, I like Big Boom AJ. I like the Costco guys. You know what I mean? I like the Costco guys. Maybe they can win the fucking trios titles with Big Justice and the Rizzler. But when will AEW's pay-per-views be free? Never. I mean, they will. You always have to pay for pay-per-view. That's the whole point of pay-per-view. If they're on their own streaming service for $10, that's different. But I think a lot of the revenue comes from those shows, so I don't think they'll decrease the cost of them anytime soon. Richie said, "LOL, I made an account the day that it dropped and was watching some of it while at work." It's perfect for that sort of shit. It seems like that streaming service is perfect for just logging in. I made a fucking account that same day too, And I checked it out for like 5 minutes before I think we went live on Tuesday. I'm like, that's cool. It's the perfect sort of, I don't know if you can get it on like Roku and shit and Fire Stick, or if it's just online. I don't know if it's just on the internet. I don't know, but hopefully it is, because it's the sort of service you just put on in the background and just leave playing. I think it's perfect for that sort of thing. Grunt said him being in the Battle Royal would make sense, though I don't think they announced that. They did not. I don't think they've announced the role for Big... They haven't announced Big Boom AJ for that show at all. He just said he would be there and would be wrestling, because he did last year in a pre-show tag team match. I feel like he would be in that Blackjack Battle Royal. Brand new day trailer coming out next week. I'm excited. Is that confirmed? I feel like we've been hearing that for months. That would make sense, though. The movie comes out in 4 months, so that makes sense. I don't know if he'll have a big role in Secret Wars, but we'll see. I feel like he will be. I don't think he was. I don't think Tom Holland will be in Doomsday. I would agree with that. Yeah, that's about it, guys. That's about it. Thank you so much for a great show. I know we've been streaming live now for over 2 hours, which is crazy. One of the longer WrestleRant radios we've had for a while. But this is what happens when we don't have Mr. Marceau here. We just kind of go off and ramble and take some more time to talk AEW, because with Mr. Marceau, there's not a lot of AEW news to discuss, and he doesn't really watch the show religiously. Not that I do watch religiously, because I have to watch it anyway, but I'm glad we could take this week, in the absence of Mr. Marceau, to talk more AEW than usual, and it was a lot of fun. We even had a hater come in and drop $5 for it, so that's always a positive too. Hopefully there's more haters that can drop in and drop money, even if they hate the show. I mean, hey, why not? It's $5. Regardless, new episodes of WrestleRant Radio available every single Thursdays, guys, right here on YouTube at youtube.com/WrestleRant. You can also catch the audio version of the show as well on WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com, and all major podcast platforms. Want to shout out our channel members: Alexis, Miss Maud Matthews, Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, Daniel Malcolm at Unquarter on X, DJ Swerve1 at Swerve1 on IG. Have fun at Revolution this Sunday, brother. I know he's going to be there. Mr. Marceau at RJ_Marceau on X, John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland on YouTube, Richie Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube, and Average Grunt at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. More information on WrestleRant memberships down below in the description box. You can get shout-outs at the beginning and end of every single live stream that we do if you are a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member. And so much more. But be sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to support the channel for free. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. And check out our t-shirt selection at ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestleRant for 3 shirts available. The regular WrestleRant shirt, the WrestleRant Halloween shirt, and the WrestleRant Christmas shirt. All available right now at ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestleRant. And that's about it. Thank you, Grunt. He said, fun chatting with you all. Fuck that super chatter. I agree. But hey, $5 is $5. Fuck them, but thanks for being an idiot and sending in $5 and subscribing for 5 minutes or a minute or whatever it was. Helps the metrics, so it's always appreciated. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for all the support today. This has been awesome. Really good episode. We will be back live, most likely next on Tuesday, as we normally are for #AskGSM. And we'll be back next Thursday here with Mr. Marceau. He should be returning from Florida on assignment. Hopefully he's enjoying himself. I know he was here in the chat earlier, but he's either on his way to Florida or is already there. So hopefully he's enjoying himself. He'll be back here next Thursday with me to discuss all the latest in the world of wrestling, and I'll give my, hopefully, Revolution thoughts as well. So until next time, guys, have an awesome one. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy Revolution this Sunday, and I'll catch your ass down the road.
Join Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau every Thursday as they run down their weekly wrestling rants, offer expert analysis, host exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe today on all your favorite podcast platforms and never miss an episode of WrestleRant Radio.